That was horrible. If I were to pay you $38 million, what would you do?
It's a good amount of money.
Just ask.
What would I do with that much money?
Yeah.
Go to the casino, and I'm going to turn that 38 into two $38 million.
What would you do with $38 million, random person in my room?
Whoa.
I would get a time machine.
Okay.
And I would go back in time, and I
get
would
it again.
put all my money in pink stuff.
Pink stuff?
You remember that barbecue sauce, the pink stuff?
Yeah, that one girl made?
Yeah.
The one that failed miserably because it went moldy and killed people?
We don't know yet.
It failed miserably because it didn't have $38 million behind it. He's going to change, rewrite history.
Who did that pink stuff? Was it like Trisha Paytas?
I think it was Trisha Paytas. Was it?
Paytas?
She bought into it, but I don't know. It was just some random.
She wasn't the
person
scientist that created the
Who
pink
the hell
stuff.
are you?
What?
Who are you?
Me? What are you doing
Why are
in
you
this
in my
room?
studio?
You told me to be here.
I don't know. Well, I'm Derek.
And I'm Isaac.
Okay, good to know.
And so you are.
I'm Dan.
That's the greatest way we've ever announced a guest on this podcast. Who the hell are you?
What are you doing? Get out of here. What are you doing in my room?
Insane.
No, welcome back to That Was Horrible, our little podcast where we do our best.
Oh, shoot.
There's a guest in front of you, Derek. You have to get it right this time.
I've never gotten it right in my life. Do the worst. We do the best?
Yeah. At doing
the best.
At reviewing the worst.
Man.
Sorry, is he okay?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's just mental block. It's been a thing since his childhood, you know?
I can't ever
Back when he
say
was abused so much as a
announcement.
child, he would run into children's stories like Peter Pan and Snow White and Tinkerbell. It's her own story in this universe.
Yeah.
Can I give you a little direction?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, nice.
Okay. Just let go.
Oh.
Just let it
Have
all
you
go.
tried letting go of your trauma?
Yeah, let me just try that
just
real
cut
quick.
it off.
Hold on. There it goes. It is gone.
Yeah.
Let's try again. I'm Derek.
Okay. And I'm Isaac.
And you're?
Dan.
This is
That Was Horrible.
A
This is
podcast,
our podcast where we do our
best at reviewing the worst.
What?
Holy crap.
Dan has come in here and fixed the man.
I just had to forget about my trauma, and then I was fine.
But then, can you still be funny without it? Do you still have the funny bone inside of you?
No, I'm actually very serious.
So this is where we become NPR.
All of my money goes to charity now.
All $38 million?
Only whales.
Only whales?
Yeah.
Whale charity?
No, only whales. That's a
Is
charity,
that like,
right?
Is that like a new site?
Yeah, it's a new
My
charity.
bad.
It's a charity, right?
I don't know if it is a charity, Derek. Is
Let
that
me
what they
type it
told
in.
you?
Yeah, you see this beluga
Yeah,
whale
okay,
in Thong?
Google onlywhales.com.
Only whales.
It's a thing.
It's a bunch of people who live in Wales.
It's like the place?
Yeah.
Whales. Not inside, not like Pinocchio, like with Monstro the big whale.
I put all my money into only whales.
Guys, you don't understand. I need help. All of my money is in only whales.
This is actually not a bit. I need help.
Dan's giving me this. I don't think he can help you with this one. He can help you relieve your childhood trauma, but the only whales funding is not going to come
I'm
back.
searching for OnlyFans, but for whales.
I feel like there's a lot of blubber-related content is what it's got to be.
All right. Well, you may notice that there is a third person in the studio today, and it's
Yes,
not just us being stupid.
We are not alone. It's not just Derek putting on a funny voice. There's a whole
you
new
put
thing.
on funny voices too. Don't just
Yeah,
put
you got
that on
lots
me.
of funny voices.
This is Dan. Dan is a local playwright, local parody writer, local director. He's
Hey,
actually
Dan.
directed me in a show that I'm doing currently.
Doing right now, currently.
It's a little parody of Survivor. Dan, do you want to tell the audience
It's fun.
who you are?
I saw it. I was an audience member, and it was great.
I think you just said it. I think those are all the things that describe me.
Well, there's got to be more.
I'm an actor
conflict
and
of
a director
conscience.
and a playwright and a lover of elephant jokes.
That is true. Give us an elephant joke.
You
right
got
now.
any hot and ready for us? Little Caesar style.
Okay. Wow, I got to think about it.
Do I have to give him $5?
Yeah, you do for the joke.
This is only elephants.
Oh God! Partner company of only whales.
Oh man, I've used my
the sister
3 that I
company.
normally use.
You can give us a one that the audience hasn't.
That's
heard.
true. We did some tests with some elephant jokes that the audience hasn't heard yet.
Okay. We'll just go back to the classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us the good one.
Why
We'll
are
fake laugh.
elephants big, gray, and wrinkly?
I don't know, Dan. Why are elephants green, gray, and pinkly?
I feel like I feel like you already know that. I know the audience. The audience hasn't heard it, but
The sincerity of you.
But now
meeting
the audience is sitting on pins and needles.
well,
why
why?
is an elephant? Why?
because
What would happen
I
if
need
they were
I
any
need to
other
look
way?
at someone who doesn't
Okay,
already
here,
know the truth.
I'm going to give you a character.
Okay.
I'm going to put a puppet on my hand. Hello, I am a high horse Palomino, and I am a horse, and I like jokes. Will you please help me?
Hi, horse Palomino.
Hello. It's nice to meet you, by the way.
You
I'm
too.
a big fan of your work.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I watched the podcast, Dan's Life.
Oh,
Oh, does he not know about this? Is that a Truman source?
The Truman Show situation.
oh, I thought Dan's Life was like that movie with Steve Carell.
Oh,
Anyway.
it was. I like
Yep.
that one too. Didn't have waffles.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about the movie is that it's him laying on a pile of waffles.
He's sad in that movie. There's
Is he?
also
I
a
wouldn't know.
comedian in it. Dane Cook.
Dane Cook is in Dan's Life?
Dan in real life.
Dan in real life. That's what it is.
And Dane Cook makes the waffles.
He does?
Because it's Dane Cook. Stop looking at Derek. Look at the puppet. Look at me. Look at me.
Okay.
Now give me a fucking elephant joke.
Okay.
And I won't use my butt plug.
Okay.
His thing is butt plugs.
Palomino. Can I call you Palomino?
Please. It's my kink.
Why? Saying your name? Saying part of your
Well,
name?
my name is High Horse.
Okay,
My
that's what I was trying to
descriptor
figure out.
Is Palomino.
Okay. Palomino.
Yes.
Why are elephants big, gray, and wrinkly?
I don't know. Why are they big, way, and weak?
Because if they were small, white, and smooth, they would be Tylenol.
Laughing track emitted right here.
I was hoping maybe an applause track, not a.
Yeah. We'll give you both.
The crowd goes wild.
Thank you for that. I could die now.
Okay.
Well, you put him out of his misery, so
Good.
That's good. No, he's safe. He's better now.
I just gotta make a note of when to put a laugh track in.
Yeah, of course. Did you guys ever have any love those folk or like old tales such as Snow White and things like that, where like as a kid they kind of spooked you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I actually got a good one.
What's your good one?
You know,
mine was the Pied Piper. Is that yours?
I literally was saying the Pied Piper.
That's
as you
weird.
said the Pied
Do you
Piper.
tell yours?
Is it the same story?
No, mine is just that it was creepy.
Is this another bit?
No,
That
this
a
is
recurring
nothing.
bit on the show.
No, that was genuine. That was so real.
That's
Okay,
real life.
You
Pied
tell
Piper's
yours.
spooky.
Mine's actually kind of a long story.
I
and it involves me
I
peeing
don't
my
have a long
pants.
story. It's just the fact that story, the concept of a man with a swarm of rats could take me away from my home and my family and my life is terrifying.
Just by saying, do it.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah, let me just blow my flute.
he
then all of
doesn't
a
have
sudden,
he doesn't have to utter words. He just like he plays the flute and he knows his little pipe, and there's an understanding there between the two of you. I'm gonna go away now with this rats. This is
right.
my rat family.
so those of you who live in Utah, you're familiar with Bear Lake, or maybe if you live in Idaho, or really in anywhere in the area.
Yeah, Utah's
Really, if you live anywhere at all.
Really, if you live in Maine, you probably know what I'm
You could
talking
have heard
about.
of Bear Lake.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lake with bears and the Loch Ness Monster for some reason.
I've never been. Are there many bears at Bear Lake?
I have never seen a bear.
No, never.
It's
Is it
shaped
shaped like a bear?
It is shaped like a bear.
Is it true?
Why are we on the same brain right now? That's crazy.
What's your Pied Piper story?
Okay, so we're up there at a Boy Scout camp, right? And you know the leaders are all like, "Oh, we love to like ruin kids' lives," right? And I was
Yeah, these
dealing-
weird camp counselors love just like fucking with kids.
They really well. Anyway, I was up at Bear Lake, right, with this group of scouts, and it was at a time in my life where we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Like it was a very big part of my life to be like, "What's wrong with
you
Bear?"
and your friends collectively like, we got to figure
no,
out
no,
what's
no.
wrong with this kid.
Well, that, but mostly like my parents were like, "What the fuck is wrong with our kid?"
I remember that time in my life.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So I was trying, I tried Adderall and Ritalin, and at that moment in my life, I was using melatonin because
Okay.
I wasn't sleeping.
Sure.
I kept having crazy nightmares. I was sleepwalking a lot, lighting things on fire. Anyway,
Whoa.
only half a joke. So the camp counselors, there was a huge storm coming, right?
Yeah.
Like a giant storm coming. And if you've been to Bear Lake, you know that the storms up there are crazy.
Big storm.
I can't tell like a small story.
No.
This has to be a big story.
Listen, I was asking, hoping you would have a big story. I don't know why you're like apologetic about it.
I don't know either. Okay, so we're sitting around the campfire, right? And this is before the storm gets there. And I know that the storm's coming, and I have horrible fear of lightning. Like lightning and thunder, like deathly terrifying. So I took
Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. That's a
Galileo.
quote from Galileo, of course. He said that.
for a minute, for just like a split
You
second.
thought. You
I was
believed
like,
it.
no, it's Queen, but what did he say? Was that a thing Galileo said? Anyway,
Said, Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
let me
Here
go.
I go again.
Oh my God, ABBA? Anyway, so I took a couple of my melatonin because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm really, really scared. Of
course.
This story is not happy.
Yeah, it sounds kind of sad so far.
actually a very
Your
sad
parents
story.
think you're fucked up. You're out and this is a storm. You can't sleep at night. You're on Ritalin and all this.
Already terrified. So I don't know if you guys are familiar. There is actually a place in Utah.
Called Bear Lake.
No. Place in Utah that was washed away. Have you ever heard this story?
Oh, yeah. Up north of Fairview.
Yeah, Fairview. Thistle, Utah was washed away in a massive landslide in about 1983. Yeah.
What?
So our camp counselors.
That's nowhere near Bear Lake.
No. But me, as a 10-year-old kid,
Okay.
thought I
Believe
was.
anything a camp
I
counselor will
thought
tell
I
you.
was there. I thought it was where we were
They
at.
tell you Jason Voorhees is out in those woods and you believe it.
They pointed at the mountain and said, on the other side of this mountain,
Which was a lie.
there was a town that got taken away. And we were like, why did it get taken away?
Why are you like Chris Hansen about it?
There's a town that got taken away.
Why don't you have a seat?
Camp counselor, why don't you have a seat?
It's the Pied Piper is actually Chris Hansen. Let me play my flute for you. So they told us that there was a group of kids that lived in that town who were like up to no good. They were like terrible kids.
Yeah.
And
I
one
was
day,
wondering how this came back to the Pied Piper.
one day, God sent the Pied Piper to round up all those
He brought
kids
God into the picture.
and take them into this town and then caused a flood
washed away.
to wash away all the kids and kill them.
Oh.
So God is the Pied Piper?
I think God might be the Pied Piper. Now, listen, this was probably 25-ish years ago, right? Like, no, that's a little much. Probably like 20 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, my brain has probably shifted it. However, that is what the story sat at in my brain.
Yeah.
So now ensues the worst night of my entire life.
Oh my
with
God.
Thunder,
Yep.
my friends, I say in quotations, saying, "Ooh, the Pied Piper's gonna come get us."
And your religious trauma, fear of God,
Yes, and
telling you God's going to wipe us away
And
with the
for
storm.
unexplainable reasons, I had so much guilt in my body.
Yes.
And I'm on melatonin, which, come to find out later in my life, gave me like night terrors. So, yeah, I pissed all over the bed. When I finally fell
Oh,
asleep.
that's the end. Okay.
Oh, no. What a button to put on that story. And I pissed the bed.
Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night. And I was
You
just, like,
caused the flood.
soaking wet.
The flood was me.
Anyway, I cried a lot.
But yeah, I was going to try to segue somehow into like, how do we take these stories from our childhood that did scare us already and then make them scarier?
Yeah.
Like has become a trend. But the Pied Piper already just exists
He's
that
a
way.
scary guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that he comes in, plays a little flute ditty,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
walks
yeah.
away with the ditties.
Walks away with the ditties.
With the ditties? In
multiple
no metaphor
ditties?
does ditty refer to the child.
No, absolutely not.
or
Those
didn't
two
he?
things are not. This
You're
cannot
still,
be.
That's still not the child.
Leaving with all the ditties. That's the Pied Piper for you.
I am surrounded by two people who love shutting down my stupid shit. I am literally in the worst place possible right now.
No, it's
But also
wonderful.
the
It's
best
a
place
beautiful,
possible.
beautiful place to be. No,
It is a great way to segue into Peter Pan, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone
because we're-
scared of Peter Pan?
We're talking about. I never was truly. I feel like the pirates scared me a little bit.
See, I hated my childhood, so
Yeah.
looking at Peter Pan was awful. I was
Really?
like, why would he want to be that?
That's true. I don't want to be a kid
I
anymore.
don't
This
want to
guy's
be a
got
kid
the wrong
forever.
idea.
What do you
about
mean I
this.
want to grow old? I want to pay bills. I want to be in debt.
I want to
Give
be
me
an adult. Who wants to stay in Neverland? I remember
Sandman.
liking the movie a lot.
Metallica.
I watched it a bit, and then they had was it
I watched it a few
2007
Three.
live action? 2003. 2003 live
I've
action.
never seen that.
It's good.
I do believe in
Very
fairies.
good.
I do.
I do. with a young man playing Peter Pan that everybody had a crush on when they were a kid.
Even me, but I
Guys and
wasn't
girls
supposed
alike.
to.
Yeah, it was naughty.
I was
It
told
naughty
not
of
to.
me.
I was told I was going to hell if I liked that Peter Pan.
But yeah, we're on the topic of childhood stories and things like that coming in and becoming fucked up is kind of a thing. You may have heard us talk about things like that before in the case of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and then also Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. And guess what? They're back at it again, guys, and we have watched another installment of the so-called Pooniverse, which is now, I think, officially been
is official.
retitled to the Twisted Childhood universe because the name Pooniverse sucks.
Cowards.
Yeah.
You said it once, just stick with it.
Well, the funny thing is, like, they still have slated a movie called Into the Pooniverse or something like that, like Monsters Assemble, because they're planning on getting all of these characters together in one movie. So I'm like, are they going to keep the name of that movie, or are they going to stick with it? Because I could respect that, at least, the strength of those convictions.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm a little disappointed, though.
No, yeah, of course,
Ultimately.
because Pooniverse is just funny. It's just a funny name.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to... something's weird is happening over there at the Pooniverse Laboratories.
What's happening over there?
Where they're, like, trying to make good movies now.
Yeah.
Like, they started as, like, we're making B movies, and then they're like, what if we tried to make these good?
I mean, if you
Really unfortunate that was trying to make a good movie.
But you know what I mean, though, right? You feel it. Like, you can
Yes.
feel it in their cinematography, in their
there's
production value.
There's bits, there's scenes.
And especially
Their
the two of us
shots.
who have seen the journey thus far, right?
Yeah.
Because we watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1, which sucked. It was
Yeah.
not great. Terrible for so many different reasons. But then Blood and Honey 2 comes out and really surprised us with how, like, decent it was a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean...
Like, by no regards is it a great movie still, but, like, it is leagues better than the first one.
they're not even in the same ballpark.
No, I mean, literally so far as that in Blood and Honey 2, they completely retcon the first movie.
Yeah.
Just to be like, this is what we're doing now. We made a lot of money with that first one. Now we're going to we're going to do a better job this time. But yeah, so now we're talking about the next installment of that, which is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare from 2025.
It feels wrong that we're already talking about the movie.
I know, right? We got more bullshit to
Dan,
talk
you got
about.
something to riff on?
Dan, if you were to write some kind of parody about Peter Pan, what direction would you take it in?
Ooh, that's good.
Oh, well, I was in a Peter Pan parody.
Tell us about that.
Did you wear a leotard?
No,
Did
I
you
played.
wear Leo's tard?
I was just about to make that joke. What's a tard?
I don't know. That's what they called me in middle school.
I'm gonna
I
spit
just
into the
got
microphone.
You just got your own joke.
No, Derek. No, this is terrible. We've relinquished you of your childhood trauma, and now you're realizing what it all meant.
Wow.
It's all coming back.
Wow.
So anyway,
A symptom of having ADHD is that, like, you hear things and you just don't ever, like, fully comprehend them, right? Like, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I
Same.
I remembered when I discovered what Subway was. We were sitting in
it's
Lagoon.
a sub, and you have it your way.
Blew my mind. I thought it was just a submarine in, like, a subway system underground. I was like, that makes sense. It's a sub, you have your way.
You're like, surely when they first created this restaurant, it must have been some underground
know?
subway.
Well, of course you knew. You're like a mathematical genius.
Mathematical genius.
Yeah, we forgot to mention it. He's a parody writer, director, actor, and he is also a mathematical genius.
No, I will say that.
I'm up for a Nobel Prize this year. You're right.
You and Sean. Oh, that's
We buried the
Trump
lead.
too. I did,
different prizes, but yeah.
I did forget to mention that Dan is like the smartest person I've ever met in my entire
Is that
life.
right?
We cannot let this be
Your legacy.
the no.
Give me a 30-point Scrabble word right now.
Entering Scrabble database.
He's doing it. He's doing it in
He's
his
going-
brain.
I am.
He's going into his mind palace to find the perfect 30-point Scrabble word.
He hates me so much right now.
Jape on a double word score.
Spell it for me and use it in a sentence.
JAPE.
Use it in a sentence. It's a new bit we have on the podcast.
Isn't
Bully our guest, Bully Dan.
won't we be experiencing so many japes and jigs today? Japes and jigs galore.
Welcome to That
It's an
Was
archaic
Horrible.
word.
It's a jape a minute.
What is even a jape?
It's like a joke or a gag, right? Like
Yeah,
a
it's
funny...
like a funny little bit.
Let's figure it out. Google
All right, in the
define
meantime-
jape. No, hold on. I want to hear about this.
the Peter Pan.
The parody.
That's
Yeah,
what
the
I
one
was
that he
gonna
was in.
segue back.
A jape is simply a practical joke.
Yeah.
The childish jape of depositing a stink bomb in her locker. That's the sentence it gives it.
It's like when I discovered what tard was.
No.
Yeah.
So this Peter Pan parody, this Peter parody.
I was just so I've been doing parody theater for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And
That's longer than I'm
That sounds like we recorded it afterwards and put it back in. I've been doing parody for 10 years.
I do have a tendency to talk like that sometimes. But the most recent show I did at a place called Yellowstone Playhouse
which
was
is in Yellowstone.
Not sponsored.
Peter Pan, a parody.
Is that all it was called?
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And the poster was Peter Pan peanut butter.
What?
But it was Peter Pan. Okay, this is actually a good thing.
There's peanut butter?
Yes.
Peanut Pan.
Peter Pan peanut butter. It's
Why
like
is
a
that so
brand
hard
of
to
peanut
say?
butter
Oh, it
that
is.
I had never heard of.
No, never.
No one else.
No.
None of the other college kids that worked up there had ever heard of it.
Uh-huh.
But the middle-aged to boomers
Loved it.
loved it. They thought it was hilarious. We didn't make a reference to it in the movie at all, or in the play.
In
In
the
the
play,
play.
yeah. But it was part of the poster. It
was part of the poster, yeah.
And that's what really, I mean, listen, they just know their crowd that they're drawing in. They're like, the old people are going to love this stuff. You've seen this. I super have not. This logo is not familiar to me.
Wait, no, I've actually heard of this before because they had like a huge salmonella recall.
Yes.
And it was like really, it was like a big deal. Didn't it kill people?
Peter Pan is killing children?
Salmonella does that.
Sounds familiar to me.
Anyway, tell us about your thing while I look this up.
Yeah. What are the funny bits within?
I mean, the thing is usually parody shows are like adjacent to whatever the thing they're
Right.
riffing on.
For sure.
So, like, a parody of Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't actually follow the exact story of Pirates of the Caribbean, but, you know, there's a lot of references and maybe it's similar in ways.
Yeah, it's connected.
When we did Peter Pan, a parody, it was just Peter Pan, but with, like, funny one-liners.
So it's just...
It was crazy.
They see this and like, let's take Peter Pan and make it funny. Let's just make a comedy Peter Pan.
It was pretty wild.
Do you remember anything specific that was funny that happened within? Like, what's something that was added to the story of Peter Pan?
Well, when Peter Pan dropped, or like flew into the house for the first time.
Dropped in.
He did drop in. I would climb every single show.
Were you Peter Pan?
No, I was Shmi.
Okay,
That makes sense.
And so I wasn't in that scene, and so I would climb the walls of that theater into the rafters, traverse this tiny little bridge. This was the only thing we ever used
Oh, man.
the roof of Yellowstone Playhouse for while I was there anyway.
Yeah.
And I would drop, and I would be carrying a human-sized dummy with me.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. Okay.
And then we would drop him, and it would go black, and the actor would run on and go, that
Funny.
hurt."
Pretty good. Pretty
funny.
good.
It was
Pretty
pretty
funny.
good. It was very fun trying to make it hit like belly flop every
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
smack the ground.
That's good.
You know what
It
I
was
feel
pretty
like is a lost art in movies these days of any genre of any kind? We don't have enough movies these days where they are like not trying at all to convince us a dummy is a real person.
Yeah.
There's so
Right.
I love those bits in like
Me
older
too.
movies where they just
too.
throw this rag doll across the screen and then
Yeah.
the actor gets up and they're all okay. Those are so funny to me.
Naked Gun reboot is coming out soon. I
That-
bet that's the type of
they've
movie.
got to
that-
do
Wonderful
that.
opportunity
They've
to
gotta
do
use the
something
rag
like that.
doll.
Absolutely.
And it seems like they're trying to stay pretty close to the traditional. So.
100%.
Going back to the Peter Pan peanut butter. because
yeah.
I think
You got a
that's-
good story here?
I think that's very important. The company just really fucked up the whole thing.
Sounds
They
like
ended
it.
up having to pay $36 million in settlements to 7,000 people who were either affected by or extremely ill.
When was this?
Goodness.
2009.
2009.
Okay.
I was
kinda
alive
what I
when this
figured.
happened.
Yeah, you could have eaten that peanut butter.
I could have at one point. Mom made me a PB&J that was made out of P and P.
Well, here's the problem because peanut butter 2006. I'm so sorry. Because the problem was the peanut butter was developed in 2006. Then it started shipping out, and then people were still getting sick up until 2016. Were people still getting sick from this peanut butter?
I bet there's someone somewhere who's got like some underground bunker in their backyard that still has some peanut.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Pan peanut butter. Why is that so
Yeah.
hard to say?
Yeah.
PPPB.
PPPB. You can still buy it.
Triple PB.
From whom?
You can? I was wondering.
Yeah, you can still buy peanut butter.
Yeah, from
Definitely
weirdos
not
on
at
like eBay.
Peanut butter.
Definitely
is
not
what I
at
just said.
Smith's.
Yeah, it's not going to be at your local grocers for sure.
No, maybe not.
Great value peanut butter, Peter Pan peanut butter.
I
never
just
mind.
want to say you're the only one even trying to say it.
I can't.
That's the
Somebody help me, please.
Peter Pan peanut butter.
All right. Oh yeah, show off. Yeah, okay.
Please, may I have some Peter Pan and peanut butter?
all you got to do is get
Pretty please, may I
really
have some peanut butter.
really lazy while you say it. Peter Pan peanut butter.
Peanut butter. If your mouth
butter.
is slanted. Peanut butter. Nope, that didn't help. It actually
Peter
is not.
butter
You
peanut
cannot-
pan.
Peanut butter,
you
peanut
cannot
butter,
actually
and,
buy it
banana
anymore.
and peanut
Though it
butter,
does kind of look like the. Should
I
say
gotta go
this?
see a man
I'll
about
say
a
it.
peanut pan.
Their
peanut butter.
website kind of looks like Peter Pan hand job, and it's,
What? So it
What-
looks
In
like.
in what regard does this website look like Peter Pan?
I don't
hand
think
job?
you're on the Peter.
Derek,
dang it.
that's not the website you should be looking
I'm on
at.
only Peter Pans.
Someone's gonna steal our great ideas. We got only elephants, only whales, now only Peter Pans.
I
only
could-
Peter Pan peanut butters.
Yeah, it was the
Hey,
pick.
good job.
I got that. That was a good one.
Yeah.
It was the pick of the picnic. Is what they said.
Don't give me more.
Absolutely not.
We
You
just mastered the
asshole.
first one. Now you're going to hand us
Pick of the
another
picnic,
basket
Peter
of
Pan
peas.
Peanut butter.
You know, P is the worst plosive.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
And
I'm
we're
mad
all
at it.
saying-
Don't say plosive. Stop.
I'm plosiving
I
the
can't
pick of the
handle
picnic.
another
Peter
P
Pan,
word.
peanut butter, please.
You're gonna piss my pants if you say P again.
I'm so sorry to everyone for the last 5 minutes.
Welcome to the alliteration podcast.
Anyway, so yeah, we watched Peter Pan Never.
We're broken. It's fucked. We're gone. We're dead.
Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare.
Peter Pan's peanut butter Neverland nightmare.
Dan was just scrolling through a book, the Garfield joke book, and then looked like he
classic.
saw a spider
don't know
and
why
jumped
he
like
even-
3 feet.
I don't even know why I picked it up.
It was there. It was calling your name. Dan, do you like Garfield?
You like Garfield? You
I like jazz.
Derek?
We hang out so much.
This is terrible.
I used to be quite the connoisseur of Garfield.
Yeah? What's his favorite food?
The offense in Dan's face looking at Derek after he asked that was wonderful. I wish you listeners at home could have seen that. The daggers that were shot into Derek just then.
I just the idea of like this fat cat who's known for one thing.
Two big things.
Mondays and lasagna.
Mondays and lasagna.
And you look at someone, oh yeah? What's his favorite food?
Someone who just confidently said, "I'm a connoisseur."
Yeah, exactly. He used the
Garfield.
word connoisseur.
All right, well answer it.
You think this guy's not going to know?
You deflecting right now or?
Lasagna.
No, it's obviously pizza. Did you see the Chris Pratt movie?
Did you see the Chris Pratt Garfield movie?
didn't.
We unfortunately did.
Oh man.
Just for the sake of this podcast, we subjected ourselves to
Listen,
that.
man, for
He
some
eats
reason-
so much more pizza.
He eats so much pizza in that movie. I think he eats lasagna one time.
Maybe twice.
Maybe.
Is it a big deal? At least.
That he eats the
It's
Lasagna?
Like it's like the
No.
first meal he eats. I think that's like people food when
no,
he gets taken off
he
the
like,
streets.
He eats it off in the fridge.
In, like, the alley.
He
Oh, no,
he,
no,
like,
you're right.
raids the fridge, and
God.
he eats a bunch of leftovers. He eats like a chicken, like a turkey.
He's just a grubby guy who eats a lot of things, but they don't really make it a point that it's like lasagna. That's his big thing.
Also, I don't even remember any mentions of Mondays in that movie.
Not at all. Really.
What have they done to my boy?
They ruined it. Well,
massacred my boy.
honestly, they ruined him by making him Chris Pratt.
That's
Yeah.
mistake number one, making Chris Pratt the Garfield. I keep talking about this every time we get into the Pooniverse side of things. Like, what do you think we could do with a Garfield horror setting?
Ooh, I want to hear Dan's thoughts because we've talked about this.
We've
Well, there
discussed.
already is.
Oh,
The,
what you got?
The
talk about Roblox.
lasagna cat.
Lasagna
It's this Do you guys not know about
enlighten
Lasagna
us.
Cat?
No.
Please,
It
I
is
don't
this-
even know why lasagna would be.
It is
involved.
this fan-driven community on the internet that is obsessed with Garfield
What am-
and
what
has
am I-
turned it into
What am I looking?
turned Garfield into a horror icon.
What am I
My
looking
God.
at?
Dan, you have enlightened us.
I You have
This-
a
this
horror
YouTube video is
podcast where you
titled
talk about Garfield a lot.
Lasagna Cat Garfield's Dark Side. What?
This is amazing.
It's an old
answering
YouTube
machine
channel.
messages.
Are
those eerie?
telephone sex survey
No, it's just like a
results.
4-hour video, and it's just the same thing over and over and over. It's part of it. It's this massive art project that took years of
This
collaboration.
sounds
This is
terrifying.
unlocking something from the back of my mind. I
I
feel
am-
like I've
That's
seen
kind of the
this
whole
before.
point of the entire project. Is
it, like,
to make it
seeps into your
feel like
brain?
something from the back of your mind?
Oh,
Oh
it's
my god!
it's insane.
they did a sex survey.
Yes, they did.
Why would they do that?
The channel was doing really well. What the channel used to do,
Inside of Mind, is that the?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it is.
What the channel used to do is they used to do live action recreations
Of the comic strips,
of comics.
it would appear.
Usually his like worst or like weirdest comics.
yeah.
And then they would do a skit regarding that comic of some kind.
And just be like that kind of like really unsettling kind of. Odie looks terrifying.
They
can I
were always
say.
different. They were always completely different things. And then the channel got really popular. And then they did a sex survey where they got a phone and they had people call in and leave
This
a message.
hotline?
Yes, just a hotline where they were just supposed to call in and say their name and how many sexual partners they've had. And that's it.
What?
And then they compiled it into like this 4-hour video where John Arbuckle just answers the door over and over and over again, and then mannequins are at his door and they just play the recordings of people saying their name and their sexual partners over and over and over and over and over again. And at the end, it ends with this insane short film that is super like, it's obviously making fun of like art housey films,
Yeah,
but it's incredible.
both Derek and I are like looking at this together. There's some crazy
Where are
things
you on? I
going
can't
on.
see your
Oh,
screens.
mine was this thing.
I got John's legs behind his head. Like
Yeah,
this
see,
is
they do.
This is insane.
this
a
is
video game one.
disturbing.
Lasagna Cat is the channel. It's
It
just
reminds
Lasagna
me.
Cat.
Did you guys ever see when they did that live action Wallace and Gromit short clip?
Oh yeah.
That was terrifying.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And there's something about these that kind of like harkens to that as well. It's just incredibly off-putting, if I must say. And I kind of love it for that. Oh, there's a mannequin at the door.
Yep, mannequin at the door.
My name is Garrett Smith, and I've had exactly 0 sex partners. That's crazy.
Yep.
This is a real thing.
It's insane.
The craziest thing I've ever seen.
And
Dan,
you know what?
Thank you for this.
You know what
thank
that
you.
means it's time for?
What?
I think we all know what time it is right
don't-
now.
What time
I'm
is it,
terrified.
Dan?
It's time for everyone's favorite weekly segment on the podcast. Say it with me. Garfield, quote or actual thing Derek has said to me in real life before. We all ready to play? What? We ready to play?
You're actually fucking
I
kidding
think
me
we're
right
ready
now.
to play. We all know the rules, but just in case there's someone that's new, we'll give it a shot. I'm going to be reading 5 quotes, and you two have to determine which ones are Garfield quotes and which ones are real actual things that Derek has said to me in real life before.
I am dying.
Okay, before you do this, I am known for saying ridiculous things. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows this.
Everyone who listens
But
to
I
this
do it in my
podcast
real life
knows.
too.
He's known for saying ridiculous things and then going, and then walking away.
Yes, it's so true. Derek literally warned me that Dan had some quote weekly bit.
I thought it was a bit. I didn't think it was actually going to happen.
It's a weekly bit. We do it
Fans,
every week.
We
I don't
know this. We love this. But like never in my wildest dreams could I imagine it would be so wonderful. So
All right,
Dan,
please.
All right, guys. So you know how it works.
Yep.
Every one of these quotes is either going to be from an actual Garfield strip or actually be a real thing that Derek has said to me.
I'm so excited.
Here's
horrified.
number 1. I think my toes are jealous of my fingers because they get to point at things.
My favorite part about this is Derek gonna be able to remember that he said these things?
I don't know.
What do we think?
Like, you
What do we
sincerely
think?
cannot. I'm gonna go. That's a Garfield. That's
I
Garfield.
think
there.
I said that.
Time's a
I think
ticking.
that's something I said.
Yeah.
So we're
what
going
was
with
it?
Garfield and
I
Derek.
think I said that.
The correct answer is Garfield. The context of that one is Garfield is just walking through his house, and then John says that, and then the punchline is that Garfield looks scared.
That's crazy because
That's
I
it.
feel like I said that
The
before.
craziest part about this is that they are so close that even Derek himself is
I feel
convinced it's
gaslighted.
something he could have said.
Gaslighted.
All right, here's number 2.
Let's go.
Ready for
Round
number
two.
2? Number 2. Whoever sings like that should be drug out into the street and shot.
That's Garfield. That's Garfield.
You think it's you seem pretty confident.
That's a
Garfield.
Derek. That's
no,
Derek
that has
said
to be
that.
Garfield.
Garfield and Derek, so we're switching
Yeah,
places.
we're switching here.
That one was, of course, Garfield
Okay.
again.
I would never say something.
I didn't know
like that.
Garfield got so violent. What's the context for that?
I think that one he's. Oh, I can't even remember. He's talking about some birds or something. I can't remember. Who knows? All right, here's number 3.
So we
Here
got
we
a
go.
point each right now.
Once again, Garfield quote or something Derek has actually said. Ooh, look at me. I'm a professional chef, and that makes me so cool and important.
ding, 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 ding. That's
Garfield
Derek.
or Derek?
That's
Derek?
That's
Pretty
Derek.
confident.
Derek.
Pretty
Derek.
confident. Derek?
I don't
You
know.
think
That
it's
might
Derek?
actually be a Garfield. I'm going to say Garfield.
You're going to say Garfield?
Yeah.
That one was, of course, Derek.
Yeah.
Derek said that to my face.
When have I actually said that?
Oh, you've said it multiple times at this point.
This is my greatest joy today.
Okay.
This is a wonderful time.
All right, we've made it through 3, and I think you're up 2-1.
Yep, 2-1
All
right.
right. Here's quote number 4. Fine, Dan, I'll let you on the podcast. Is that what you want? Now, will you finally get off my back for once? You disgust me.
No, Garfield
This was-
absolutely said
Ding,
that.
ding. That's
Fast.
Derek. That's a Derek.
We want these fat. Okay.
I think that was
I
definitely-
think that's the most ambiguous one yet. But
That was
okay.
definitely Garfield.
All right. Well, that one was Derek.
Oh.
That was Derek. He said it to me like last night. It was a classic.
You're
This
making
is-
me out to be a cruel human.
This is wonderful.
All right, we're down to our last
This is obviously
last
gonna be
one. I think
Garfield.
you're already up
He's at 3.
I'm at 3. Yeah.
up 3-1.
I'm at 1 point.
But that's okay.
This game is
'cause
mine.
We got
This
one
one's
more.
worth all the marbles.
All right. Our final quote is, "Congratulations, Mr. Arbuckle. You are going to give birth to a fine, healthy litter of puppies."
That's obviously Garfield.
I feel like this is
No,
a
that
trick
might have been
question.
me.
I don't think it's either.
I don't think I said that.
I don't think
either.
Garfield said it at all.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Arbuckle. You're going to give... No, that's definitely Garfield.
Yeah.
It's definitely Garfield.
Garfield, yeah.
That is Garfield. I just wanted that one at the end because that is the Garfield strip where John canonically drinks dog semen.
Excuse
I'm
me?
sorry?
That's the whole
Excuse
reason I
me?
even wanted to do this at
I'm
all.
sorry?
Why'd you make me out to be such an asshole?
You're the one that said it. I'm not gonna.
No. For the outside of the bit, Derek's a very nice guy. Obviously, I want to know more about John Arbuckle
I'm more worried about me
canonically
being an asshole.
drinking semen. That doesn't concern you.
I mean, he eats semen all the time.
It's a normal.
Okay,
we all
no.
know John
We all
Arbuckle
love
for 2
Derek.
things.
I love Derek.
Oh, I think they love
Come
you,
on.
man.
We went disc golfing on the 4th of July together.
Yeah, we did for the first time in a year because we do it every year.
Yes.
It's the 12th time.
This is a yearly thing now.
I think we determined it was 18.
So am I the only one still concerned about John Arbuckle and his dog semen
I think
consumption?
he's really concerned about that.
Oh,
We
that's
should probably
it.
tell him.
That's the whole strip.
That's
The strip is that John walks into the vet's office with Liz and says, "Ooh, a cup of coffee. Don't mind if I do." And then she says, "Congratulations, Mr. Arbuckle. You are going to give birth to a fine, healthy litter of puppies."
Jim Davis, you sick freak. Why would
That's
you
it.
do this?
There it is. I found it.
The weirdest
He found
Garfield
it
strip of
so
all time.
fast. What?
Oh my god! And then he spits it out at the end, or he
Also-
gets ready to spit it
Okay,
out.
There's an
doesn't-
interview with Jim Davis from like 10 years ago
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he implies, "No, it's not dog semen, you weirdos."
What else? What
could
could
it be?
Possibly be. At first, I was like, it would be weird if it was in like a coffee mug shaped cup, but it is just like a cylinder. It's just a cup.
Also, is this implying that Garfield is giving birth to puppies?
Why is that?
I
Because-
don't know.
because it's Garfield
Because
sitting
Garfield's
on it.
getting a checkup.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Garfield's giving a check.
So
It's-
this Liz is doing a checkup on Garfield. Just happens to leave the dog semen cup just on the table.
It is truly the second most talked about strip in the Garfield community.
What's the first? Do I want to
It's
know?
the pipe one. It's one of the first ones ever.
What?
Garfield pipe comic strip.
What is that?
We're
It's-
learning
you just
so
gotta
much
look it
about
up.
Garfield
him with the
today.
pipe in his mouth and it
Yeah.
just says Garfield. Yeah. Okay,
That's it.
we have actually talked about that
Iconic.
on the,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
podcast before. That's like the first, if not one of the first.
If Garfield was in a horror setting and he had a weapon, would it be the pipe? You think he'd kill people with a pipe?
I probably would. You probably would.
All right,
Sure.
guys. We
Well, it's definitely
watched
time.
Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Derek, do you have some information to enlighten us with?
Yeah, here's
about
some
it?
actual things that Dan has said to me.
Also, Dan, great game,
That
great
was
bit. Love
fantastic.
that.
Was fantastic.
Wonderful.
I would like it to be known that I said those things nicer, though.
He's a very nice man.
Oh, you're admitting you said them.
So we sent them. That's Derek. We're recording the whole thing.
professional chef.
Why don't you have a seat, Derek?
Oh, God. Wait, why is Chris Hansen here? What did I do?
Did you say in these DMs that you were a professional chef and better than everyone?
We're here
No,
with
I
To
was
Catch
joking.
an Asshole.
I was joking, man. I was pulling a little prank. All right, so we're looking
Peter
at Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. This movie released this year, actually. It had a very limited release. So it
Straight
only,
up like 3 days
it had 3 days in select theaters across the country.
in like January.
Even then, it grossed $1.2 million. Which is
impressive.
insane.
On a
That
budget
movie
of
that
what?
had a 3-day run. It had a budget of 500,000 American dollars.
Wild.
Just crazy. So Neverland Nightmare has a 43 on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics and a 69 nice from the audience. The Letterboxd reviews are sitting at a 2.3. IMDb is at a 4.3. It is also worth noting that the entire Pooniverse, or the Twisted Universe, whatever, the TCU, is currently sitting at a $900,000 budget for all 3 of the films that have released so far and has grossed $16.5 million.
Impressive, to say the least.
That is insane. Actually, that makes me kind of curious. Anyone know? Someone Google it for me. What like one Marvel movie has made?
Oh, jeez.
Like, what's the budget on? Like, what was the most recent one? Like, Fantastic.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts. Well, Thunderbolts was a flop though. What was one of the bigger ones?
Which is sad because I hear it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's like the best one in years, but it apparently was like a historic
Avengers
flop.
Endgame. Let's see.
Yeah, look at Endgame. That's a great.
Apparently,
example.
Avengers Endgame generated an estimated $890 million in profit.
That makes sense. How much did it cost to make though? Because what if it cost
$400 million budget?
Okay, so it doubled its value. Yeah,
That's wild.
That is
That's
actually
nuts.
I think I'm gonna throw up now.
It's sad to hear this. All these money numbers. It's crazy.
All these money numbers. Oh my goodness. I lost my page. I'm so sorry. So this movie was written and directed by our boy Scott Chambers. And if you are fans of this podcast and you've listened to us talk, we've talked about Scott Chambers a lot
A few times
at this
now.
point.
More than the once.
Because he also did Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Peter Pan's Neverland.
obviously.
Blood and Honey, 1
He
and
did
2.
Blood and Honey 1 and 2, and he actually
acted.
starred in
Yes.
Blood and Honey 2 as the new Christopher Robin. Because if you remember,
Oh.
the original Christopher Robin they hated. It
wasn't great.
They kicked him out.
Yeah.
and they basically retconned the entire first movie. And in the second movie, they redid the whole thing with a whole new Christopher
He
Robin.
really came in and said, like, fine, I'll have to handle this myself, and did it himself. It did surprisingly well. He's not
Yeah.
a bad actor.
Okay.
Which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, it was unexpected to see the director-writer then take the lead
Yes.
role and be good.
Because we have a common trope that happens in this, like a common trend on this podcast, where you find a lot of movies that we watch for this podcast tend to be written and directed by the same person. It doesn't always go well, and so like to see someone who has written and directed and acted in a thing and still come out pretty okay, like it's impressive, really.
It is impressive. And all of these are published by ITN Studios.
What
Which,
do they do?
Excuse me. Oh my gosh, this drink is destroying my throat. Actually, I think it's from the screaming I was just doing when Dan threw that shit
Oh, man.
curveball.
Good times, good
It was
times.
amazing. This is the whole thing. All of it was created by Rice Frake Waterfield, which is a crazy name to say it out loud.
Cool name.
Kind of dope. He's like the lead of Jagged Edge Productions, which works with ITN Productions to produce all their films. I just want to read you a few titles
Please
of movies.
lay it on me.
that
I'm sure
ITN
they're all
Studios
super
has done.
normal
Please
and
do.
uninteresting.
So we got Bambi the Reckoning coming
course,
up.
coming
We just
out
watched
later
the
this
trailer
year.
for that, which is crazy. They've also got the Pinocchio
Pinocchio
movie.
Unstrung.
It's not on here. I don't know if
Do they
it's
have a
being
title?
Pinocchio
Pinocchio?
Unstrung.
Pinocchio Unstrung.
Oh.
Yeah. They're letting
They've
him off
also
the
got
strings.
Foreclosure. They've also got Foreclosure 2, both horror movies.
What about that is scary? Does it have a synopsis?
A new family moves into a neighborhood in hopes of meeting the ghost that lives in their home.
Huh?
Wait, what?
They want to be haunted. They want to meet the ghost.
What does that have to do with foreclosure?
Yeah, what?
Is the ghost's name foreclosure?
Oh, foreclosure. Are you in my house?
It's me, foreclosure.
Dang it. Now I permanently have John eating dog semen in my
in
Google
your
search history.
Yeah.
If there is a
That's
ghost in this house, leave a piece of paper on the front door.
How else will I know you're there?
Oh my god.
I'm trying to look up more about
About
Foreclosure
Foreclosure
2,
2?
but apparently it's just an 80-minute mess.
Oh geez. When did it come out?
2024.
Oh geez. Okay, so last year, Foreclosure 2.
So somebody got foreclosed on
Family
their house
moving
last year.
to meet this ghost. I just so what
Anyway,
else we got?
We also got the shadows side. Sophie is a young woman who finds herself trapped in a supernatural nightmare while seeking a romantic retreat in an isolated chalet.
If it's isolated, where does the romance happen?
I don't know. You also got Remember Me Too, Forget Me Not.
What?
Clever enough. They love having like little subtitles to their movies because
love
even Bambi, The Reckoning, Pinocchio, Unstrung,
Yeah, Foreclosure 2.
Foreclosure 2. What a weird subtitle for a movie.
Yeah, Remember Me Too is a man wakes up in a hospital, unable to remember who he is, but as the bizarre nightmares continue, he suspects something evil is taking place.
Ooh.
That's so dumb. I don't like that.
Derek, how long does this list go? How many are there?
It goes for a while. Granny Krampus. Can't forget Granny Krampus. Granny Grampus. Granny Grampus. Self-isolated. He knows you're not alone. No, he knows you're alone.
He knows. Okay.
The Bad Nun 3.
They got up to 3 with some of these.
Are these movies out?
These exist
these are
in the
all-
world. I've
these are
not
all
heard
real
of
right
any
now.
of these, but I can see them here. There's whole posters for them.
Yeah,
a
man.
bunch of actors. Like these are real movies.
Jack and Jill 3. The Time for Games is Over.
How
No.
do we get to 3 of these?
Is that the Adam Sandler sequel?
no.
Yeah, they just took Jack and Jill and made a second and a third
That's
horror
wild,
movie version.
insane.
The Escapee 2. I just love how a lot of these, they're all just like sequels. This one looks good. Demonic Plastic Surgeon, MD. At an elderly people's home, a demonic plastic surgeon has been summoned, and soon they will be all due a makeover.
They will be all due a makeover. That's terrible. That almost reminds me of how terrible the synopsis for Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare was.
Yeah, do you have it up? Do you want me to read it?
I don't. No, do you have it?
This is the craziest synopsis ever. So we'll switch back over to Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. You get the point. There's some crazy movies
They
out
got
there
some
being made
wild
for this
So
company.
many.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that list keeps going too. I could have
I think we just barely scratched the
that
surface.
was just the ones
honestly.
that have released in the last 2 years, actually, is all that list was.
Insane.
Wendy Darling strikes out in an attempt to rescue her brother Michael from the clutches of the evil Peter Pan. Along the way, she meets Tinkerbell, who will be soon seen taking heroin, believing that it is pixie dust.
Like that is not pertinent to the story.
It's not.
Why is that in the synopsis? Sure it happens, but what does that have to do with literally anything going on in this? Why are we doing this?
I don't know. That was a weird choice.
No, absolutely.
A weird choice. Let's talk about who else was involved in Peter Pan's Neverland.
Yeah.
J.M. Barrie.
J.M. Barrie.
You familiar with that guy?
Of course. We all know J.M.
You know
Barrie.
J.M. Barrie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jerry
he's-
Mary Barrie, of course.
Famously,
Ran
his
for
wife died.
President.
Yeah, that one time, but he lost in a landslide. The land just...
No, so J.M. Barrie is... What? Oh, my God.
He got
He was probably in
thistled.
that town and he got thistled.
You got this. Is that what people say? Do
People say it now.
Thistle?
I'm saying it.
We're going to start it now.
I've been saying it for years. J.M. Barrie is the
Jerry
creator
Mary
of
Barrie.
Peter Pan. That's all.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah. The movie Finding Neverland is all about him, obviously, because he found Neverland.
Right, yeah. He
is
found it and wrote his true stories
Very
about it.
different from the Neverland in this movie.
Quite a
Which
bit
is
different.
Just hell, I think. What else can I even say about this? Oh, there were 2 awards nominated for this film.
Where, Papa?
Two nominated.
Two
awards.
nominations.
2 nomination awards.
Yeah, you got to tell me what festival it was.
Yeah, I gotta know so I can get there next year.
Love how serious Dan became. You gotta tell me what festival it was.
to know.
So Kit Green, who played not Thumbelina, Princess Peach, Jimmy Neutron's mom,
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Goodness. Is it not right in front of you?
No, it's not. Kit Green was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for playing Tinkerbell, not Princess Peach, and Martin Portlock was nominated for Best Actor. Now, neither of them won, but it was at the UK National Film Festival. So, I mean, that wasn't just like a horror movie festival. That was just a film awards.
That is actually because I feel like often we see these things and it's at this really tiny rinky-dink kind of film festival that like doesn't have a lot of like note or like, you know, anything to mention really, any gravitas to it. But that actually sounds fairly substantial.
It does, yeah.
Is now a good time to talk about Martin Portlock?
I do want to talk about him.
I do want to know, like you listeners at home want to know more about this man.
I think everyone on here knows exactly who he is. They probably just heard Martin Portlock and they're like, oh, that's the guy that almost won Britain's Got Talent.
Britain's Got Talent and scared the shit out of Simon Cowell, right?
So if you go on your little YouTubes at home and you type in the Martin Portlock The Witch, it will come up. Well, actually, you just need to type in The Witch Britain's Got Talent.
Yep,
he's a magician, I guess. He's an
sorts.
illusionist.
He definitely leans more towards just performer.
Yeah, truly.
For sure. I mean, we didn't watch all of his routines,
which I might. You know,
he has like this one where he puts like a creepy looking chest in front of Simon Cowell.
Because he made it fairly far, right? Like he didn't
made
win.
it to semifinals.
Semifinals is pretty big.
I think that's the end. It's semi. Is that a truck?
Yes.
Or what they mean when you
they
get
drove
like a
him
mini
in
or
all of his witchcraft.
Not in Britain. It's a lorry. It's a lorry.
This movie is painfully
He
British.
made it to the
so
lorry
for the rest,
finals.
For the rest of the episode, we must speak in the accent, right?
I don't like talking in accents.
Whatever.
You're
Never.
right. I actually love talking in
I know
accents.
you do. I know
it's
you
my
do.
favorite thing. But I'm not very good at holding on to it. I always slip into something else.
It's better that way.
Dan, you're pretty good at accents.
Is that right?
I tend to slip into a bit of a Scottish if I'm doing British at any point. I start in this like Scotch drinking British
it's got the
voice,
very,
That's very nice.
and then
very
eventually
posh.
I'll just be going full Scot.
Two very different vibes between
I
the two
tend
of
to
them.
go into more of the Irish. I tend to slip
Irish
into
is
the
fun.
Irish.
That's
Irish
fun.
is so fun.
It's good. It's right at the
It's-
right
yeah,
at the
we're
tip of your tongue and the bottom lip.
Space, honestly.
For a couple episodes, we had a character called the priest, pocket priest.
yeah.
A little priest who sat in your pocket, and he talked like this. He was a pocket priest. Hello,
So
I
tell
don't
me more
diddle
about
kids.
Martin Portlock.
Yeah. He was on Britain's Got Talent. That's really all you need to know about him.
Yeah,
I mean,
but like his shtick was basically some kind of illusionist magician type stuff where he dressed like, you know, like you would imagine the witch from like Snow White, you know, with this like little apple and this you know saggy, gross looking face and this robe covering him.
yeah, in his audition, he held 2 apples in front of them, and then one of the apples was full of bugs.
Yeah, full of bugs
But
and
they
worms.
took a bite out of the not bug one. It was
Squish
a really,
it, and it was
really
all over the
simple
table.
trick, but it was like the way he presented it.
Yeah,
was just
no,
fun.
it was fun, performative. My favorite part about the entire thing, though, was like Simon Cowell looks fucking terrified the whole time, and he's got a pretty like hard demeanor most of the time. So it was just fun to see him
very hard
not
man.
be like kind of be broken in that sense. Like I think this dude actually rocked him a little bit.
Yeah, it was cool. It did kind of feel like Scott Chambers and the production team, when they were making this movie, they did set out specifically to find people who were like known for things in the community, because actually the person who plays Hook in this movie was a contestant on the drag race
UK Drag Race.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
RuPaul's Drag Race in the UK. Their name is Harry Whitfield,
Which is just so cool and impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, truly, we went and watched one of the bits from Martin Portlock of their Britain's Got Talent bit, and like just watching it and his performance within, I'm like, this is just his audition for the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
really did
felt
feel that way,
Pretty
yeah.
similar to the performance that we get within said movie.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got about the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't find too much else. Maybe Trivia will have some, but I didn't.
Something about Penn and Teller, but we couldn't find it.
Yeah, it did say that he helped out with the Ultimate Magician, which I don't even know what that is.
I can't find anything.
Maybe
on
it's
that.
a lie.
I think the internet lied.
I think the internet lied to
Did
me.
the internet lie?
Or we slipped into an
Chat, is
alternate
this
dimension.
possible?
Chat? Are we talking to Chat?
Yeah.
Or Chad?
Chad.
Chad text.
Chad, is this possible? Tell us from the van.
It's CHADT. Chad.
Was he in that gray van? That's
We got
currently-
Chad out in the van.
That one out there?
He's looking things up for us that we don't know how to look up.
No, he's in that red van right next to it that says "Come to Neverland." It's got stickers that say "Lost Boy" on it. It's got this
Pretty
weird
dope.
painted rainbow on the side of it.
There's a ton of weed smoke coming
This
out of
weird clown is holding up a sign that says, "What are your expectations?"
Why do we got so many vans outside?
That's like Van City over here. What's happening?
there. Yeah, I call it Viddy. chains.
Veni Vidi Vici.
Derek, Dan, is it time to
came, you saw, you
expect this
conquer.
movie?
Listen, it's an episode with a guest. Those always run longer.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's time for expectations. I'm just stating it.
I was going to say, do you want to talk more about Vidi over
There's
there?
nothing more to talk about the vans because we're actually looking at a blank wall.
We only know what one of the vans is.
The rest of them are
shoes.
The rest of them are just
nondescript.
vans.
They're just vans.
The shoes.
So I'm ready to expect some movie times.
Okay,
all right. So generally, expectation. What are we feeling about this one? For me,
I was actually feeling pretty good.
going into this one after watching a trailer, especially, I was feeling like we might actually be in for a decent time, much like we had with Blood and Honey 2, where I was like, Blood and Honey 1 sucked. We've established that, but like they're getting better, and I think this one was gonna go with that. I thought it was gonna have very little to do with Peter Pan as a story, but I thought we were in for a pretty good time. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, I was with you. I felt like it was going to be still B-movie quality
Yes.
at times, but more enjoyable than the past movies from the franchise. They're just building up to it. Do you have a general expectation?
I think about the same. Yeah, just I was hoping for some good kills
Yeah.
and a story that clips along.
Yes. That's a good...
At a good pace, right?
Something that doesn't drag. I mean, it was an hour and a half, which is like a great length for a movie like
I
this.
love that.
I'd say it felt a little longer to me.
There are definitely
It felt longer, but it was only an hour and a half.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do feel like there are lots of times where like there are movies that would certainly do better with a shorter runtime and they stretch themselves into like 2 hours. Yeah. So I love me like an hour and a half, especially for these kinds of movies.
That is one thing this is the 91st movie we've watched for this podcast. So it's like, we could tell when there's a movie that has gone way too long. And sometimes just a nice hour and a half, maybe an hour and 20.
Love that.
An hour and 10.
Just clean
Mwah.
hour and a half, clean
Mwah.
90 minutes. Love that. Love a tight 90.
Because when you hit that hour and a half mark and you still got 30 minutes to go, it's worse than hell.
That's pain.
Yeah, no, it's pain.
All right, what's your first expectation?
Very first expectation, I said it's going to be a far deviation from the Pan mythos. I was really expecting them to have characters that had the same names. And pretty much that. And that's it. Especially considering right at the start, Peter Pan is an adult man. So like that's right off the bat, we're fucking up something.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah. What about you?
My first is the crocodile will be just insane.
Oh,
I was expecting like a Tusk. If anyone who's familiar with the movie Tusk,
yes,
where he turned people into
a
walruses.
man walrus abomination.
I was hoping for, not just expecting.
Yes.
some sort of like weird
Pleading
crocodile.
with the movie.
I was like, please, that would be so cool.
That would be messed up.
Your first
Been fun.
expectation, Dan?
Shockingly little to do with the original Peter Pan after
you
the
guys.
original exposition is laid out.
Look at that. Look
You
at that. We're
guys.
lining
Look
up.
at that.
My second expectation was a large inspiration from The Black Phone. And I think that was kind of a cheap shot just because, like, okay, there's a child kidnapper, and I saw at least one shot in the trailer where he used a phone to contact people. That was pretty much all I had.
Yeah, okay.
But it felt like the movies would feel similar in those ways, and I enjoyed The Black Phone, so...
My second one is actually close to your guys' first expectation. Peter Pan is actually just a guy who's kind of taken the persona of Peter Pan. It's not actually Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So that was my way of saying, like, the mythos is
The
not
similar.
there.
Yeah, for sure. Dan?
I said decent acting from the lead that will be hard to decipher through an insane script.
Oh, that's pretty... Hey!
Dude, every time we have guests on this podcast, I get so mad that my expectations suck. We've just been doing it so long.
No, it's good. That was great.
Nice.
Good is what we're saying.
No, that's
Great,
fantastic.
great. You were about to punch a hole through the wall. I was like, oh no, I fucked up the podcast.
I'm so
Damn it.
terrible. I'm bad at my job. No. My next expectation was kid death aplenty, because it really seemed like... I do enjoy that through the trailer, it was not incredibly specific what Peter Pan, this like child kidnapper, was doing, what his intentions were. And so I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like just given the sheer amount of kids I'm seeing in this trailer, a lot of them are going to die. And that we just might have to deal with that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I've seen Terrifier 3. I know kids
Hold
can
that
die
on
in
our
movies.
souls.
We will continue the progression of movie quality from... I wrote B&H, which looked like Barnes & Noble, and I got confused, but it's Blood and Honey. We will continue the progression of movie quality from Blood and Honey. Because, like we already talked about, Blood and Honey 1, shit.
Yeah.
Blood and Honey 2, okay.
Significantly
This movie,
better.
I was like, maybe
Keep it on the up and up.
Number 3, I said a few kid kills that will be more uncomfortable than compelling.
Fair.
Very good.
I was really worried about that.
Yeah, that's a very common
Yeah,
worry
no,
of
that's,
ours.
it's a fine line you have to tread if you're going to decide we're going to kill a kid in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like we can't make this like severely uncomfortable for people.
Again, a good topic of that is Terrifier,
Terrifier
3.
3.
That
Because
movie
we
like-
just they just explode.
Yeah.
yeah, you saw Terrifier 3.
I've seen clips.
Yeah, the beginning of that movie is
It's
brutal.
rough, yeah.
Brutal.
But they set out to do that intentionally. They're like,
like,
we're
hey, we're not
really going to
afraid.
push the envelope, right? My fourth expectation here, it says a weird way to include Tinkerbell, because based on the synopsis, like not the one that you had just barely read for us, but I remember seeing one that included Tinkerbell within it, and so I'm like, okay, I know she's here, and I feel like they're going to struggle to make her some kind of part of this. I thought they were going to try to do some weird something with
And
it.
both synopsises kind of make it out that Wendy teams up
a little
with
bit,
Tinkerbell.
yeah. Tinkerbell and Wendy taking down Peter Pan.
Interesting thing to
It's like a buddy cop movie.
I would
Wendy
watch
and
it.
Tink.
Wendy and Tink, the wink. Incredibly gory kills. You know, they're just leaning into that.
Like
they wanted
like
more
they
gory
do.
kills.
Yeah. I said Tiger Lily and Shmi characters that are offensive to certain demographics.
There it is.
Yes, that
it
is
is.
fair. That is something I feel like
That's
that's
a really
always
good one, actually.
I mean, I think it's because just as the story is written, the Tiger Lily and all of the stuff they're in, you know, that's already fairly racially insensitive in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. So it's like, how do you bring any adaptation of that and do not
And-
a bad job?
Yeah, and I just figured Shmi, they'd find someone to it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what,
Degrade.
just something.
just always at some demographics expense for sure.
Hey, Dan, give us your fifth expectation.
Oh, I was about to say that I actually only wrote down 4.
Oh, perfect.
Well, perfect.
Because our final expectation is
Kid actors. Kid actors. Kid actors. Kid actors.
You got a kid
actors.
in a van over
Kid
there.
actors.
He just took
Kid
candy
actors.
from a little
Kid
bear.
actors.
The bear
Kid
was a guy
actors.
who handed him
Kid
candy,
actors.
and he took
Kid
him away,
actors.
but he just went to
Kid
a
actors.
zoo. Kid actors.
Kid actors. So there was a bear. A bear showed
Yeah,
up.
it was actually a lesson on accepting candy from bears, but not from strangers.
Not from
but you had to
strangers.
like look deep. That was
look deep and look within for the message behind this
that was
week's
frosting.
Kid
Dan's
actors.
the horror in Dan's eyes.
Horror? I'm smiling.
He was having a great time.
Horror.
ready for
this
more.
Was, this was Joey. Give us another verse.
I wanted a verse about Joey.
Oh, Joey.
Oh, Joey. God bless you, Joey,
Oh.
a character in this movie that we will discuss. But I mean, at that rate, is it time to
It's
dive
time,
in?
man.
Let's dive into what is it, Skull Cove? What is the island of Neverland? There's like a skull part of it, right?
Yeah.
There was a part
There's
in the
Cannibal
beginning
Corpse.
where there was like a
a
Cannibal
band.
Cove or something like
Cannibal
that.
Cove.
Has that always existed?
Yeah, that's what Dan was
Yes.
saying.
I don't think it's in the Disney movie. I haven't seen that in a
I
while.
mean, I just barely looked up
It
Cannibal
might be.
Cove, and the first thing it says Cannibal Cove Peter Pan. So I guess it's a real thing.
I love
There's
the way
Mermaid
the map
Lagoon
of
and there's
Neverland
Cannibal
looks.
Cove.
I want this on my wall.
Yep, it's true. It is just so hold on.
Crocodile Creek.
According to this,
It's called Pirates Cove.
Oh, okay. It's
In the
Pirates
Disney
Cove,
movie, it's Pirates Cove. In the
Ah.
but they
original book-
changed it. So yeah, so this J.M. Barrie, this is getting even more a little more insensitive because according to this, it says it's depicted that area is inhabited by a tribe of Native American Indians. So they're saying that the Native Americans are cannibals.
Yes.
is
Yeah.
what he's saying.
that's what good old JM.
Jerry
is
Mary
saying.
Barrie,
It's pretty problematic.
I'm ashamed of you.
The problem is,
Lots of things.
It's one of those things that people ignore because they like him, which raises another problematic question.
Yeah, hold up.
So if we like the artist, it's okay for them to be insensitive.
There's kinds of things, you know. Before we dive in, it is worth mentioning that Derek's lovely lady wife, Emily, says, "For what it's worth, I think Peter Pan is a vampire." And I think that would have been another fun angle to take Peter Pan.
Interesting.
Wait,
Yeah.
Peter Pan is or should be?
Is a vampire.
Emily
is what
thinks
she's saying.
that Peter Pan's a vampire.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Pixie dust is actually just blood from other vampires.
Yeah, exactly. So he's draining the life essence from these lost boys. What they're losing is blood.
That should have been this movie.
That actually is like incredible.
Could have been a fun idea.
But is that where the idea of the Lost Boys, the vampire movie,
I mean,
came
that's
from?
fair. That makes sense. Good movie, by the way. Lost
No,
Boys, great movie.
I've never seen it.
Great movie, great time.
Isn't it just like a bunch of guys like walking through a forest going, I don't have any bars?
I don't have any bars. I'm lost. The key in the universal indicator that someone is lost. Holding up their phone.
bars.
Yeah, I don't got any bars.
I don't
Y'all got any bars?
I don't have any bars. I want a movie. I want a horror movie now where there's just a character the whole movie. That's just every time he's on
Just
screen.
one line.
I don't have bars.
There's no bars here.
Phil, what do you think about this? I still got
I don't
no
have any
bars.
bars.
I don't know. I really need a drink. There's no bars.
And then at the very end, he's like, Phil's like the final girl of this movie. The movie ends with a close up of him. He's like, I got some bars.
I got the bars. He has one little tick on the Verizon logo.
And then he does a rap battle. He finally has bars.
Finally got bars.
That's what I was saying.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the final shot
Yeah.
is him playing Minecraft. And he finally made some iron bars.
Okay. So Peter Pan's Neverland's Nightmare.
I was trying to think of other ways we could use the word bars.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Court, the bar. Pass the bar. Pass the bar.
You'll get there.
J.M. Barry.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
throw
not
him
bad.
behind bars
That's
for
not
his
bad.
racially insensitive book.
Hey, that's good. I enjoy right at the start of this movie. They do a pretty decent job of starting these like unsettling, like
Yeah.
this sense of dread and discomfort.
They did. And all of these movies so far have started with some sort of like nursery looking book, like some sort of animation.
with a neat
through
little
the books.
animation. It's kind of become their staple.
I like it. And I'm glad they're
pretty
continuing
nice.
it.
So we start out right away with our the main guy playing Peter Pan, Martin Portlock, reading from the book, reading the story of Peter Pan. It does take a weird twist though, where it does end with him saying like Peter Pan made some deal with a quote like higher being to stay young forever, and he's going to offer that power to the young boys. Like,
Do you know what that power is?
No.
That I just discovered.
what?
It's heroin.
It's hair. It must
heroin.
be, honestly, because that's the only time it ever really talks about that. Not only that, we talked about this frequently throughout the movie. It is unclear whether within this
Yeah.
world the story of Peter Pan, written by J.M. Barrie, exists.
Yeah.
So it's like we
still
get
don't
that
know.
intro, but like that could very well just be him like reading his own story that he had written or
Right.
maybe found through some dark deal. Like, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like anyone is putting together that like these things are connected. Nobody really makes any in-world references to it being a real story.
No. And it never even gets talked about
No,
or
not
explained.
really.
It never gets talked about,
Yeah.
but there is an entire family of characters who have the names
same- of the-
from Peter Pan.
Yeah, exactly. The Darling family, right? There's Wendy
so-
Darling, John, Michael. They're all characters.
If the world of Peter Pan exists in this world, do they know?
Yeah.
Was it an accident that they just their last name was
a good
Darling?
point.
I had thought about that
Good
too.
point.
Like, were they conscious of that? Were like, did the mom? She's like, oh, I have this name. Oh, I'm gonna marry this man. Take his last name,
Yeah.
Darling. We're gonna start a Peter Pan family.
And if that's the
She's
case,
obsessed.
then as soon as Michael went missing, they would have had to have gone, oh, it's a Peter Pan
It's
thing.
Peter Pan,
Dang
obviously.
it.
It's
Our
all
family
connected.
curse is finally catching up to us.
Did
you guys-
ourselves?
Did you guys even know that the mother Mary is a hypnotherapist?
That's no.
In the movie?
Yeah.
The character?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did not
So
because
if you look at the plot synopsis, so
we ever become relevant.
we follow the plot synopsis of this so we can make sure we don't miss anything important.
Of course.
And this says, in the present day, Wendy Darling lives in a complex family dynamic with her younger brothers, John and Michael, and their mother, Mary, who works as a hypnotherapist in the nearby town of Ashton.
Never brought up or relevant or useful even a little bit. What the hell?
I don't know.
It's so strange.
It must have been mentioned in a single line that we were talking over or something.
Must have. And
She's not the same actress. She's not the same character that plays the hypnotherapist in Blood and Honey 2, is she?
I think she is.
You think is that the connecting
Yes,
line between
that is
these?
there it is. There it is. Yep. She is Mary Darling from Blood and Honey
That
2.
must
She plays
be
the
it.
hypnotherapist.
Because that's the thing. Like we've mentioned before, they are intending to make this whole universe, Pooniverse, quote unquote, to then connect in a later movie where all of these characters are going to join together in one big brute force of monster mayhem. I guess.
I still want to know like what we think the enemy or the antagonist of that film is going
I
to
am
be.
very curious because is it supposed to, because like I think it'd be fun to have like a Freddy versus Jason kind of thing, all of them going toe to toe.
But they seem so friendly.
But the
definitely
poster,
should.
yeah, the poster indicates like they are one big band of like vagrant monsters that are then going to wreak havoc on the town.
Okay.
And so then who's the good guy?
so
in
I
that
just
one?
imagine this world in where Mary, she's a hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
Hypnotherapist. But then she gets like Jean Grey style powers. Whoa. And so she's like flying and, you know, she'll
Yeah,
put
yeah.
her fingers to her head. head. She's gonna like use special powers. She gives special powers to Wendy.
Of course.
Wendy discovers heroin, and so now she
Pixie
can
dust?
use superpowers.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds sick as fuck.
But so we have all these characters that we clearly know as characters from the story of Peter Pan. It does not seem like anyone in this world is aware of that.
Yeah.
And from the opening sequence, we see Peter Pan reading this story to a young boy. We see that he is kidnapped, right? And he says, like, I'm going to take you to Neverland. So, like, we understand that this character, this serial killer, it would seem, is like trying to do these boys what he thinks is some kind of favor by bringing them to this wonderful place. And it's like not quite so clear exactly what that means, you know, if it's a literal place, some kind of weird cult compound. Is he just murdering them? You don't really know from the get-go. And I did appreciate that. I did enjoy that, especially since my main concern was like, please don't be a pedophile. I don't
absolutely.
want that. I really
mean,
don't
we were
want
all
that.
worried about that.
Yes.
Like, it didn't need to go that way.
And then later on in the movie, they find a way to tell you that he definitely is not a pedophile.
No, yeah.
Could it be if he wanted to be?
So in this the beginning bit, he gets in like Peter gets in a fight with the mother
gets in
of
a
this
Peter.
kid named James.
Yes.
And we did discover it was James, even though that poster, it shows a poster after the scene of a different kid.
Yeah.
Nevin Curley.
yeah, that name stuck Dan really bad.
It really did.
Because it's a weird name.
Because the other thing is she was calling him Curly,
Yeah.
not James.
So is it James Nevin Curley then? Like, what is this?
And why is she calling
James
him
is a
by a
nickname?
last name?
James is
Does that mean it's her last
No
name
idea.
too?
James?
Can you imagine a mother calling her own son by their collective last name?
Well, but here's another thing. Those are played by two different actors.
Yeah, so I don't know. The connection was weird because there is a lasting shot on this boy after Peter Pan unfortunately murders his mother in a pretty brutal fight where we see he starts out as a normal dude for the most part. He's like a circus act. He has this like weird. It almost looks like wannabe Joker, wannabe the Crow kind of makeup on his face.
He was talking a lot like Heath Ledger.
Yes,
in
and he
this,
did, like,
in this moment.
He did the licking lips kind of bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of picks this kid as a target at his circus act. He finds him at the zoo, then sneaks into his house under the floorboards like it's
Like
this little,
Pennywise.
Yeah, he's like acting like he's Pennywise. Like, hi, my name's Peter. Why don't you come down to Neverland? I lost my mummy. What's the funniest part about that sequence is the fact that the kid is even like, aren't you a little old to have lost your mom? Because that was the thing that I said as a joke, and then he really said
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Which is so
It was
funny.
good.
But
Smart
yeah,
kid.
so he looks pretty normal for the first part, but we've seen a lot of like media from the movie that shows he's got this like fucked up, half messed up, scarred face. And so in this fight that ensues when the mom comes in and tries to rescue James, they fight. She like slashes his face with a knife pretty bad where it's like kind of hanging off of itself.
Yeah.
It didn't look like enough damage to warrant the scarring he has later in the movie.
No, I definitely think like it was just trying to be like, hey, this is how it happened. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it does show like this is how we got fucked up, you know? But yeah, what bothers us most about that is at the very end of that, it's a long shot of James, who we now know he's going to kidnap, right? And then it cuts to a missing child poster of a different child.
Yeah,
it's not the same kid.
But she was calling him Curly.
She was calling him Curly. None of it adds up. None of it makes sense. It's very strange.
So insane.
It's so weird. But even in the synopsis, it specifically says that it is James.
Because that becomes relevant later.
it was Peter versus Roxanne.
Yeah, that's right. Roxanne.
Because that was important.
Very strange. But yeah, so what's really fun about that first scene too is like we do see this mom who we know nothing about. She has a weird shower. We know that much about her. That was just
a really weird
it was
shower.
a strange shower. It just kind of stuck out to us. It
kinda
didn't
dug
fit the
it,
rest of the apartment house thing.
I would live there.
I would
was
actually
a cool
like to
house.
live there. But she really does get a couple solid blows in on Peter Pan, which does show us he's not necessarily like the scrappiest guy. He doesn't seem to have any kind of supernatural powers to him. He does get fucked up a few times in the movie.
Yeah, he does.
Which I do love. That's why I love like watching the Scream movies and watching Ghostface get fucked up because it's
just a guy.
Just a guy in a
just a guy.
costume, right?
I love that stuff.
But yeah, so that's our introduction to Peter Pan. Now we know that he's got fucked up face. He's kidnapping children, little
And
boys
he's-
specifically, to make his own army of lost boys.
And he's Pennywise Ledger.
yeah.
Heath Ledger Pennywise.
But yeah, but what I do love about it is the fact that we don't know if he's just a guy who's obsessed with the story of Peter Pan and kind of taken on that personality, because it seems like he does some kind of have some kind of stunted mental growth where he still considers himself to be a child in his head.
Absolutely.
He's like, I'm one of you, we are children, you know? But or if he's just like, if he's actually Peter Pan and has some supernatural powers, because in the trailer, it does show a scene where he is lifting off of the ground and flying.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh shit, they're spoiling it and showing us he does actually have the power to fly. And and then that comes back around
fly,
But
later.
it
But
was all a dream.
I do enjoy that we don't know exactly what's kind of going on here with this guy, but we
Man,
know
I
he's
would've been
kidnapping
so pissed
kids.
if it was all a dream.
But like, so we meet the Darling family,
yeah, they're darling.
and they're the main like plot device for the rest of this, right?
Yeah, and again, going back to what we were just talking about, they're all named after characters from the book.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe J.M. Barrie is their grandpa.
Maybe
And
Oh.
that's how this is all connected.
Grandpa Barry.
Probably great grandpa. They are UK.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are UK.
but are they okay after
No.
the events of this movie? I don't think they're going.
Well,
to.
one of them
they were at the end of the movie. They were fine.
That's
They
true.
were great.
They were having a grand old time.
Spoilers. They have a great ending.
So how do we feel about Wendy, guys?
Dude, she's
She's our main final girl of the movie, supposed to be our protagonist. We're rooting for. We love her, right? She was great, right?
Well, so she's sitting there. She's sitting there while her family is congratulating her little brother on a birthday.
He's
and
literally-
she doesn't notice.
He's literally pinning a pin to the front of his shirt that says "Birthday Boy."
And there's a birthday card directly in front of her that says "Snappy Birthday."
Yes, and then
Is that what it said?
after the brother leaves for school, she suddenly wakes out of her daze, sees the birthday card, and goes, "Oh shit!" and runs out to wish him a happy birthday so that she's not a shitty sister.
And then in like the most uncomfortable fashion, she stops him and starts singing "Happy Birthday" in his face.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it wants us to try to like. I don't understand if they have a strained relationship. I don't know if I'm supposed to like them. You know, like really
It
root
is
for
a
them to get back
complex
together.
family dynamic.
That's true.
Is what you're looking
with
for.
the hypnotherapist mother.
But we really aren't giving anything. We're just expected to know that it's
Yeah.
Yes.
it's complex.
Yes.
It's just like,
exactly.
hey guys, it's complex.
We really don't get a lot of them. We really don't see much of the brother John either,
No.
which is okay because he was one of the
He's
weaker
terrible.
points of acting in this
He's
movie.
arguably the worst character in the
he
movie.
did not do it justice.
But then we fast forward now to school. It's the end of school. He's coming out. We meet the greatest character.
Oh, my-
before school, we meet the greatest character, Joey.
Joey,
It's time. It's time. He has
Oh
this
my
moment
God.
where you see him in the background, like gesturing towards the car. And you
It's
can tell
when
it's the first time
Wendy
he's
is
ever
dropping him
acted.
off at school.
Yeah.
And she's made him a little bit late because she decided to, like, you know, drive him to school, kind of hold him for a second while she could tell him happy birthday and, like, I'm your sister. We love each other. Kind of forcing us to really try to love these two as a duo.
Yeah.
Because then they eventually get separated and you're supposed to care.
You're supposed to care, but
You're supposed
Yeah.
to.
But
I don't
you-
think it worked.
No, you
Not for
don't.
me, at least.
But yeah, Joey is just this like cute little kid. He's just I don't even know how to describe him
Who
other
is
than
really,
precious.
he's doing his best as far as the acting goes.
He is
like,
the reason we have a kid actor's song
I love
Yeah.
him.
for this show.
He was lovely,
Lovable, I would say.
very
endearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Endearing is a good word for him.
He's got a lot of heart,
A
really.
lot of energy.
Too much, arguably.
But he quickly, for us, became our favorite character. We're like, if
Just
if
because of
anything
his rough
happens to
acting.
Joey, I'm killing everyone. I cannot live in a
We're
world
turning
without a
this movie
Joey.
off. But then we fast forward to the end. You kind of see that maybe Michael's getting bullied a little bit at school.
Yeah.
That never comes back.
No,
And
not
it's
really.
arguably not important.
It doesn't
at
really
all.
matter.
Someone puts a slur on his back
On a post-it note on his
a post-it
back.
note.
I forgot
and then
about
it
that.
it's never brought up or anything.
I think they're just really trying to force us to like him.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I really feel like it's just a thing that is added. So it's like, feel bad for this kid. So that way, when he's in a bad situation, you're worried about him because you care, because he gets bullied at school.
It's his birthday. He got bullied. His sister forgot it was his birthday for 5 minutes. Care.
There's also a plot line where like they really want you to try to care about Wendy as well, where she like is struggling with this boyfriend who's like kind of
Oh,
ignoring
goodness.
her.
he even
and then
appears for a second.
yeah, that gets thrown away so fast.
Yeah.
But it is the catalyst for Michael getting kidnapped. Because
That's true.
Because it's the end of school.
She
and
shows that to pick him up, right?
Yeah, and she shows up to pick him up for his birthday. And then while she's standing there talking to her boyfriend, Michael just leaves. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm getting the hell out of here.
I'm outta here.
I don't want to listen to these two bicker. And then while he's bike riding home, he hits a little wire
Yeah.
that was crossing the
So
road.
Peter Pan has now taken this wire across the road to like stop his bike, which implies a lot of research is going on with Peter Pan here.
Well, I'm sure
'Cause
he
you don't-
looked at he was looking for the Darling family.
Yeah, because I mean, he
He
has to.
must have been. That's the thing is.
Yeah, do you think
I
is
was
that why he's
expecting-
targeting them?
I was expecting there to be
Connection.
a blurb of exposition
Yes.
at the end that was like, "It was you specifically. You're the one."
Because we see a couple times it flashes back to or it shows us sequences of Peter Pan in his like den of iniquity. It's like dirty, nasty. There's rusty looking needles all over the place, where him and a woman we now know will be Tinkerbell are shooting up this heroin, and in like shitty pen on the cylinder of the needle, it is written pixie dust.
You know how drug dealers
love to
label all of their
all their needles.
But it's this one's heroin.
While it is corny as hell, I did kind of enjoy it because I'm that's a really great way to bring it into the real world, because they're going to get high. It'll make you fly. Like it is kind of a fun way to bring that kind of mythos within the real world.
Absolutely.
But so now it's like, okay, so we've seen that Peter Pan does have this assistant, I guess, that is helping him, this accomplice in all of these acts in Tinkerbell, right? It also shows a couple shots of him looking at this one wall in his house that has newspaper clippings and red string all over the place, like he's trying to put something together that it never really tells us about. And the best I can assume is if he's obsessed with the story of Peter Pan, maybe he is trying to look for a Michael Darling. He's trying to put the darlings together to fit the story. Like, is that, it never gives us that. I'm just spitballing here.
No, we're just being we're just guessing here. Yeah, I don't know.
But it does imply that he's put a lot of research into Michael, because he knows it's his birthday. He knows the route he's going to take to bike home.
Yeah, he knows what year he was born.
He does, which is
we
weird.
find out because he uses his birthday on a lock.
Which is interesting, yeah. The room he locks him in later in his den has a combination lock, the password to which is his birthday.
Which I think was supposed to be a connecting arc for Wendy, that she now remembers his birthday.
Maybe?
Who knows, man? I don't know. But so Peter Pan does end up successfully kidnapping Michael. No? Not yet?
Peter.
Please
don't call him Peter Pan.
Is that separate? That's a whole other thing, huh?
It just specifically makes a point that he is Peter.
It's very strange.
He's never Peter Pan.
Peter does successfully kidnap
I think they're avoiding, the rights.
Yeah. He brings him back to his place.
Joke.
He doesn't...
It's out of the public domain.
It's a callback. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
He does not kill him, though, is the thing. And so it's leaving us to wonder, what does he do with these kids? Right now, all we can see is Peter has one child in his possession. None of the other kids are there. So it's like, okay... Is he playing some kind of game? What does he do with these boys? Where are they ending up? And so you're like, okay, maybe he doesn't kill kids until a lot of kid death happens.
All at once.
All at once. All of the kid death happens at the same time.
Everything, all the kids all at once.
Derek, what happens exactly?
Well, so... Peter, he's hitting the town as he normally does.
Yeah.
First off, he's like tormenting Peter. He's tormenting Michael. We should talk about this. He gives a really captivating monologue.
It's really good.
It's really good.
The first scene between the two of them in like this room he has captured and locked him in.
Which he basically tells Michael, adults are bad, that whole thing, like my mom did this to me and I'm going to take you away so you don't have to deal with life anymore.
Yeah.
Which we kind of get a glimpse into his motivation
Yeah,
there.
so the exposition is there where we find out his motives behind this is because he was so severely abused as a child that he's like, I'm going to help you boys and take you to Neverland so you don't have to experience the awfulness that is this world.
It is in this moment that he says, she took away my boys, so I have to help you boys. And all of us were like,
what does that mean?
What does that mean? Like you had a group of friends, right?
Euphemism.
What does that mean?
Or does that mean she took away your balls? Because
yes, it does.
And somehow it was. That is what it was.
Because there is a sequence later on that we'll get to where we do see him disrobe, and at first it was just like him pulling down his pants. It's like, whoa, we see
Peter
Pan ass. That's crazy. Peter ass, sorry. And
No, you can call it Pan ass.
and then he
You gotta
does
pay
turn
extra for Pan
around,
ass.
and he has been straight eunuched, and he's got nothing down there.
Yeah,
He's smooth as a Ken doll.
He is a Ken doll.
Yeah.
Ken doll. Except you could kind of see the underwear outline.
A little bit, yeah.
But I'm not going to judge
That's
them
just
for that.
something on the
It's,
prosthetics of it all, whatever.
They only paid $500,000 for this movie.
My favorite part about this first sequence of him kind of psychologically tormenting this kid, I mean, he does treat him well to a degree. He doesn't ever hurt
There
him.
is a level of sincerity to it that I really appreciate it, and you don't expect from this kind of performance.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, he was definitely caring for the kid.
But my favorite bit about this is of the quote unquote torture he's presenting to this kid. There's this one little CRTV in the room. It is playing a non-stop loop of black and white footage of crocodiles fucking up different creatures, deer,
Most of the time,
eating
deer.
meat. Yeah,
and I
eating
feel like that
deers.
was like a Bambi thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It
could have been
really,
a connection to that for
does
sure.
feel like
really
it.
felt
But
like a Bambi
So that
thing.
is our connection to the crocodile from the story, which I think was a subtle enough way. I do wish we had some kind of monstrous
only crocodile.
humanoid crocodile like Derek wanted. That would have been really cool. I did enjoy that though. I thought it was
liked
kind of
it
cool.
too.
It was
I
really
just
neat.
wanted a tusk
And it
style
wasn't it wasn't too in your face either, where it's like, here's the crocodile. You remember from the show?
Remember the book with the crocodile?
The crocodile?
Was there a clock?
No clock.
Yes.
Was there?
Oh, sorry. I thought. No, I don't know.
There is a
the
clock.
only thing that was similar was when her phone was charging, and it turned back on, and it got all those
rang.
notifications at once.
Which I guess could have been.
That
like
is
I don't
kinda
know if
similar.
that was supposed to. It's what I thought of immediately.
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't think about that, but you're totally right.
No, absolutely.
But I don't know. But that's supposed
We'll
to be
get
a
to
thing that Hook is triggered by, not
Yes.
Peter.
It did actually trigger Hook a little bit.
In a way.
Did it?
In some way.
I guess so.
We'll
get
get
to
to
that.
that. We'll
We'll
get to that for sure. But so we're getting some pretty good performances from Peter here.
Yeah,
being
Michael's
pretty
kind of
spooky.
just sitting there, though.
Michael does a lot of just sitting and taking things. He's
Yeah.
not necessarily bad as far as kid actors go. He just doesn't do a lot until like things start to hit pedal to the metal more towards the end of the movie, and then suddenly he cares a lot about things happening.
Yeah.
But he's kind of complacent the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think they gave
Yeah.
him any direction. They
No,
were like,
not
just sit
really.
and look scared.
So the whole while we've got Wendy who's trying to do her own detective work with a couple friends trying to figure out what happened, because apparently within this world some years ago there was a trend of like kids being kidnapped and I guess subsequently killed by some kind of man who went by Peter Pan. Like he is kind of a known serial killer, right?
Yeah.
And they don't ever really delve too much into like the history of what was going on there.
No, but
Yeah.
then while this is all happening, we'll get to all the kid death
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she's sitting
We'll
at
come
home and the brother walks in the door and gives the most Oscar-worthy performance
God,
I've ever
it's
seen
so
in my
bad,
life.
guys.
He's bawling his eyes out, or like
Trying
trying
to.
to. His face is breaking,
Contorting.
and what we see is Peter Pan is he pulls his van and he's pretending to like work in it.
Pan's van. It's
And
Peter Van.
A bus full of his fellow students, of Michael's fellow
Of
students.
Michael's fellow students. All boys on this one bus.
All boys. They pull up on
heading
this
to
bus.
who knows where. They were driving in like this countryside. Like where is this bus going?
I don't know. I don't think that's relevant.
It's
for
not.
The plot.
It's super
I think
not.
all they wanted was sympathy for kids,
Absolutely.
or whatever you could call this. Anyway, then so Peter he kills the bus driver. The bus driver starts walking towards him. Hey man,
Stabs
get
him
out of the
straight
road!
through like the
Which-
bottom of his head up
Yeah.
through the chin.
None of this was very believable because he was not blocking the whole road.
He was
bus
like
could
half
have
blocking the
definitely-
road, but there was no curb.
No.
It was just lawn
Yeah.
as far as the eye could see.
Bus could have gone around it.
100% could have gone
No
around it.
problem.
Yes.
Easily.
He could have easily just been like, "Oh, we are just swerve around that. We're fine."
But anyway, then Peter
saved a
gets
lot of lives that day.
on the bus, and he's like, "I'm going to take you out to Neverland," and which was he said it better than me.
Yeah.
but
I did. Can we talk about Pan's voice?
Yeah.
Peter's voice in this.
So-
you two were bothered in the first scene,
the
which
first scene.
never happened again.
Never happened again.
In the very first sequence where he's torture, like kind of tormenting James and his mother,
Yeah.
he has this weird like kind of like distortion effect, because when we first meet him when he's under the floorboards, he's like, it's kind of like a Pennywise
Hiya,
character, like
Georgie.
kind of a hiya George. He's like, I'm Peter. Well, let's be friends.
Yeah.
And I did like that voice. And then when he kind of like stops fucking around, he's like, it's me. I'm Peter. You need to come with me. He does like a
They
deeper
totally,
voice.
and I really think they actually distorted it.
Oh, they
I-
absolutely,
absolutely
did.
they did.
100%.
They
It was not
100%
just him changing.
No.
But
his
that
voice.
effect never comes back later in the movie.
No.
It's so, weird.
I think it comes back one time,
Yeah.
but it didn't bother me that time.
Uh-uh.
It wasn't bad. That
Yeah.
specific time, it was just so out of nowhere to
Yeah.
distort it, and I
Yeah.
don't think they
Yeah,
needed
but I
it.
do love, that is to say, I did love the switch between, like, this is my kindly voice that I'm using to, like, lure you in to trust me, and then
For
he
sure.
switches to, like, his real, actual, like, deeper voice, which is really spooky.
And I did like the switch too.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
fun.
saying I don't like the switch.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the
that
distortion.
distortion was
they put on
strange.
top of it.
Even stranger thinking back on it that it never happened again.
It never happened again. It was completely unnecessary.
Maybe when he said Marco
Yeah.
one time. I don't know.
Yeah, there's one
knows?
sequence where he's like kind of playing this sick game with Michael in his little den where he's like playing Marco Polo with him,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't amount to anything. He just scares him, does a little jump scare moment.
Yeah, that kind of comes back.
But so we see that happen with the kids. He's left on this bus full of kids, and then it cuts away. We don't know what happens.
yes,
Then later
until
on,
the brother walks
Brother
into the
John.
house. He's trying to cry. Little John boy. It's really awkward.
Yes.
He's not doing a good
and so
job.
Wendy's like, "What is it? What happened, John? Tell me about it." He's like, "The bus
full of Michael's friends.
And then we just see several shots of several kids spread all throughout a field, dead as a doornail.
At least a dozen, if not way more.
Yeah.
At least a baker's dozen.
At least a baker's dozen full of dead kids. But yeah, so he did in fact just kill an entire bus full of children.
Yeah.
Full
I
of
did
boys.
appreciate though that it was just like kids with gray makeup.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah.
no
we didn't
Yes.
see
No
we didn't-
gore.
No blood.
We didn't hear any screams from them. No guttural as they're getting stabbed to death. No bloody children. It's just them dead in a field.
Yep.
So fairly tastefully done.
If you're gonna do it, that's the way to do it.
But so again, this drives the whole point. So we do know he does kill children. Why is he not killing Michael?
Because
What
of
is
his name.
special about Michael?
Because his last name's Darling.
And it does feel like it's probably connecting to the Peter Pan story.
Yeah.
Which they don't tell us outright. They don't tell us why what his methods and his motives are. All we know is that he was abused so heavily as a kid that it seems like we can piece together now Neverland is just death.
Neverland
What he
is
implies by
absolutely
I will take you to Neverland is that he's killing these kids.
Which I do like the idea of this like serial killer who his only escape as a kid was Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And so he became obsessed with that idea, and then his whole driving factor is that he's taking him to Neverland. There is also a seed of a plot line that is not important, but he has cancer or something.
Yes,
and
because-
he's dying.
Yeah. Well, because there's a line that Tinkerbell says because Michael, there's a scene where
We see him
Tinkerbell
coughing up blood.
Yeah. Well, the first time I didn't even hear him cough until Michael had mentioned it because it was Tinkerbell and Michael talking to each other. And he's like, he's coughing. He's not very well, is he? And so Tinkerbell basically tells us his whole motive where she's like, he's going to Neverland soon and he's going to take all the boys with him. So it's like, okay, so he's dying. That's Neverland. He just wants to take out as many kids as possible on his way.
It's super weird.
Also, I don't know that
wild.
it's. I'm wondering if it's maybe not cancer. Maybe it's all the heroin.
Maybe it's all the heroin he's taking because good Lord, is he
I thought
taking a lot
heroin
of
was
it?
a cure for cancer.
I
Is it?
don't think that's true, Derek. You
That's what
cannot look that
chemotherapy
up.
is.
It's just heroin. That's what Big Pharma doesn't want you to know.
Little did you know, no one who's addicted to heroin has cancer.
It's true. Look it up. There's a lot of websites that'll tell you a lot about it. A lot of websites of people wearing tinfoil hats. Can we talk briefly about Tinkerbell as a character? Because in Tinkerbell, in Wendy's research into finding out more about this Peter Pan killer, we find out his very first victim was a young lad who went by the name of Timmy. And the first sequence we see of Timmy, there are a couple
Tim
things.
Kerbell.
What?
Tim Kerbell.
Tim. Fair enough.
I think they could have come up with another name that was more similar. I
Yeah.
can't think of one right off the top of my head, but
Tina?
Bell.
I don't know. Bell?
Bell.
I mean, truly. But so we come to find out that Peter's very first victim was a young boy who went by the name of Tim. And in the flashback sequence of what we see is a young clown makeup Peter Pan like beckoning to this Tim character. Tim has a lot of things you would not typically see on a young boy. He's got like this pink unicorn backpack. He's got these nails are painted. And I was like, is there some point to that? And then we find out Wendy goes to the father of this now missing child who misses them very dearly, and then goes into the bedroom, and there's like one line that mentioned, oh, Tim always said he felt a bit more like a girl inside. And so now we have some trans representation here in our Tinkerbell character.
You know what I did appreciate about this?
Which I do. I appreciate representation for
I love the representation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the best thing about it, though, is that the dad was like into it.
He was cool about it.
He was like,
wasn't
I'm gonna
shitty
let my
about it.
kid do whatever he wants.
Yes.
that would have been. They would have had to add a bit more dialogue to the show if he wasn't.
That's
true, yeah.
That's true.
But while I do think there is, it's like we don't have to get too into it because it's like, can get dodgy territory, like not trying to insult the right demographics in any way, shape, or form. But like there's not many instances here where there's ever anything at any like trans person's expense.
Yeah.
They don't make a lot of note of the fact that like Tinkerbell was once a boy. It's just we know Tinkerbell. She's a girl now. We know Tinkerbell, and like she's a wonderful actress in this too. By the way,
she did a really good job.
She did a fantastic job.
She got nominated for supporting actress.
Yeah, I think there's one bit later on where her and Peter Pan are kind of having a fight, and he kind of makes a comment about something about being a boy, and it's
he
just
says-
like it's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now at that point, it just feels like they're trying to use that as an excuse to just make Peter worse.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Now he's transphobic.
exactly. Yes, right. So it's like it feels
He definitely
like
used it
lends
as a
itself
manipulation
to that,
tactic.
But also,
yes.
that's what it is. Because he has been like, he's obviously supporting.
Yes. Because there are a couple scenes where it's kind of made out that like Peter and Tinkerbell are kind of an item with each other. I mean, it's definitely like a Stockholm syndrome. She is still his captive, but like they've kind of created some kind of relationship here, and he is supportive to an extent, and that's kind of his reasoning for why she stayed kidnapped, because he tells her so much like, you would have never been accepted in society. You know, I took you in and I accepted you, you know. But anyway, Tinkerbell's here. She's a wonderful addition to the cast, truly. I did really enjoy her performance within the show. I mean, we can kind of like, where do we go from there? Truly, there are lots of moments where when we got those sequences where Peter was with Michael and being kind of spooky and like having these really great monologues, the movie was picking up and having a good pace. There were a couple bits where I'm like, I feel like we're kind of losing the plot and dragging a little bit here.
It was about this. We were about 3/4 of the way through the movie at this point, and I really do feel like it hit a screeching halt.
Yeah, which just. It's just kind of the same fights over and over and over again.
The action sequences were not incredibly captivating. The kills were brutal in their nature.
They were brutal, but they were never quite
happy,
like satisfying in the way that kills can be.
Exactly.
Where it's so gory that you like, it feels like a release.
Except for we didn't even talk about it, guys. See, the most brutal kill in the movie.
Oh, gosh.
At the very beginning. We didn't even talk about it.
Tell me about it, Derek.
The mother of James, for some reason, Pan cuts a slit across her head and rips her scalp off.
Begins to scalp her.
And we don't know why.
Just why would he do that? He doesn't ever do it again.
No.
It's just the one kill that he does that. Pretty much every other kill, he's just stab.
And let's talk about that. I'm mad. I got to get up on my high horse.
What's your high horse, Derek?
Was it time?
It's time, high horse.
I haven't built a box in weeks.
Time for you to come on back.
Centuries. Okay, I'm going to build a very nice box for you, Doug, but I'm going to cover it in fake blood so it feels right. Beak, 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 beak. Thank you, high horse. Okay, I'm going to step up. All right.
Yeah.
Why the hell is Peter Pan killing people with a Wusthof chef knife?
Derek would, every time the knife was on screen for long enough for him to get a good look at it, he was like, I got to find out what kind of knife that is.
It was obviously Wusthof. They have a very signature grip. Anyway,
which Derek says apparently has appeared in a couple horror movies at this point. Wusthof, the knife of serial killers.
It's a great knife. That knife got me through culinary school. I love that knife.
They should really start to rebrand and become like like that's their whole new thing.
The knife for serial killers.
The knife for serial killers. Michael Myers used this knife.
He could have used a dagger. He could have used the pixie dust. He could have used a fake pirate sword.
I did like that because, like, as we know, Peter Pan is a character in his design. His only weapon, except for maybe sometimes using a pirate sword, a cutlass, he does just have a little dagger. And so I do appreciate that in the real world, his weapon of choice was just a little knife. But it was weird that it was just like a chef knife you could find in a kitchen.
I don't know. And maybe that's what their thought process behind it was. It's like, okay, he's just using the first knife he can find.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It felt lazy to me.
Yeah.
They really could have had him use some sort of dagger or something.
If you're going to do a themed movie, then lean into the theme.
Commit to the bit. Absolutely.
And we know they can because they did it in Blood and Honey. Yep. They also did it in The Mean One, with that movie with the Grinch killing people. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It was pretty garbage. Possible. But he had a lot of really good themed kills in that were very themed around
fun.
the Grinch.
I like
Kill
that kind
someone
of
with a thimble.
Yeah, exactly. Do something like that.
He does bite Wendy's fingers off later on, which did feel like a little thimble-y. But like, I don't know, man. I just was really disappointed with the themed kills.
Yeah.
That there weren't any.
No, but on the subject of talking about like Pan's design and stuff like that. So we talked about at the beginning, he had that kind of mime clown makeup aesthetic going on. Then his face gets fucked up. Now he's got like a Phantom of the Opera, like half mask or half face messed up. There's a sequence where he goes into a costume store, kills a guy and steals this mask that kind of looks like the people mask from The Purge, like the very first Purge movie. And it's like, I don't know. I kind of missed the clown makeup look that he had going on.
Yeah,
I liked the prosthetic that they had. He didn't even use the mask that often. No. I feel like it only became relevant towards the end of the movie where it does get shattered, and it's like kind of a cool effect. But like other than that, I don't know why they changed it to give him this like creepy mask. It didn't really
nothing to do with Peter Pan.
Nothing to do with Peter Pan really at all,
as far as I can tell.
No, exactly. I honestly would have liked it if he just put the clown makeup over his messed up prosthetic face. I thought that would have been kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
But so we get a lot of different things going on that aren't like incredibly worth diving into. Wendy's really trying to figure out where her brother is. Peter Pan finds where she's at because she's staying with a friend of hers who is actually the family of Joey, who we love. And he kidnaps Joey because he's got a picture of Joey and Michael together. And he's like, Michael, would you be having a better time if your friend Joey was here? So we were pissed off because Joey got kidnapped.
I did appreciate Michael being like, trying to protect his friend and being like, no, I don't want him here.
Like, don't bring him here, please. Absolutely not. But yeah, so there's a sequence that happens where where Peter goes into Joey's family's house. He ends up killing all of them, taking Joey away, and that also happened to be when Wendy was staying with them because she was in kind of a bind. This is a scary situation. So she ends up tailing the Peter Pan's van, the Peter van, all the way to his. Who knows where the hell he lives? Well, I don't know where this place is.
You just said Peter Van.
I did. I said it like 10 minutes ago, too, and nobody noticed.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm actually really mad I didn't notice that.
You're right. I did not know.
I'm sad we didn't make that joke when we were doing the van bit at the top of the episode.
Rewind.
Peter Van. Anyway. So flash forward. So now we have a bit now where it's Wendy has made her way into the house where Peter has locked away Michael, right? And there's just kind of a sequence where it's a lot of them all going around the house at different times, and Wendy is trying to save her brother, right? Where do we go from here?
I mean, we're screeched to the end. Like, there isn't really much to talk about now, except for how we get out of the situation. So Wendy kind of talks to Tinkerbell, discovers who Tinkerbell is.
Yes,
like,
because she puts the pieces together.
We can get you out of here.
Mm-hmm. Your family misses you, get back out there.
And Tinkerbell has this realization of, oh, my family doesn't hate me. I've been manipulated.
Peter told her that.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of a thing going on throughout where, like, with Michael being here and the things that he's saying, Tinkerbell kind of, for the first time, maybe ever, starts to question, what are you doing to these boys? Is Neverland a real place? Like, she's really starting to have doubts about this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it gives a very solemn performance. Again, really loved her stuff in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I was just the two leads, which were Tinkerbell and Peter, which is crazy that they were our leads. I don't know. I just expected Wendy to take the lead seat.
Yes.
But she was the most backseated character I've ever watched.
A little bit.
She was just so boring.
And
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't enjoy her.
She had moments of being smart that we've discussed, but like, I don't know. It always felt kind of just placed in her lap.
Yeah,
not quite her actually being intelligent or intuitive.
Arguably, Tinkerbell saves the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Wendy.
Yeah, because what basically ends up happening is Tinkerbell saves Michael and Wendy because she kind of helps them escape and get away from Peter. And Peter and her have this confrontation about it. And he decides, you're not worthy to go to Wonderland. That's a completely different story. Go to Neverland. And then in a very brutal fashion, the way he decides to kill Tinkerbell.
He clips her wings.
He clips her wings, basically, as Derek put it, which was a pretty good way to decipher what happens here. He takes. I don't even think it's his knife. I think it's like a butcher cleaver.
No,
is it the knife?
It's the
Was it the
same
knife?
God.
It's the same knife.
Oh, I thought it was like a
And he
cleaver
just
too.
chops
I swore it
into
was the
her
same
arms
knife.
because he knocks her to the floor in this fight. Chops into her arms and cuts her arms off, like on the ground, and it is awful.
It was
to
a
watch.
different knife
It is
because
hard.
Wendy
it is
had it.
tough.
Yeah, Wendy had the knife. I think it was a cleaver.
Yeah, I think it wasn't like a butcher cleaver that he used in this instance.
But yeah, he cuts. Well, first he breaks them, which was so.
Oh,
brutal.
that's right.
Yeah.
He lays her on the table and snaps them over the edge of it. Then he takes the other one and twists it under his leg. It's hard to watch.
It was harsh.
Especially again with a good performance from the actress playing Tinkerbell. Like, oh God, I feel so bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But yeah, so that's a pretty nasty thing. He eventually that doesn't kill her. First of all, he ends up then later killing her by
stomping on her
head.
head.
Not necessarily squishing it, but maybe breaking the neck in the act of. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Can we go back for a second and talk about something I really enjoyed in this? Because I was upset that the trailer showed us Peter Pan lifting off the ground, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, they spoiled to me that clearly he has some kind of supernatural powers. He doesn't, actually. What we see in that sequence is him getting high off his pixie dust, and he starts to see on the wall, see his little shadow dancing around and moving, which is such a fun way to bring that into the story still, and not like, how do you break reality and make that happen without making it supernatural?
And it was specifically like the old Disney cartoon Peter Pan.
Yes, that design, which
like
is really fun.
leading him through and telling him to do this stuff.
And then we do see him start to lift off and levitate from the ground. But then Tinkerbell
Very
walks.
David Blaine.
Yeah. But then Tinkerbell walks into the room and you see him just he's just high. He's just tripping right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a really fun. I like that. So the trailer kind of tricked me into thinking that it had spoiled something when it actually didn't, which I really enjoyed.
So deep down in the basement, we have James.
He's got a creature.
From the beginning of the movie, the very, 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 very first person we see get taken away, James Hook.
Uh-huh.
So it's this kid who's it's just like in Tinkerbell fashion. He's got giant hook shoved into his stump on his arm.
So he's
and
got
it's
both of his
gross.
arms, both of his, at least the hands are chopped off at the wrists, and they're just these like rusty hooks shoved into the stumps.
And we don't know why.
No.
There's never.
It's also I mentioned this. It's kind of funny to me that like he is this hook. This James is his captive, his prisoner here, and he has equipped him with two pretty gnarly weapons.
Yeah. I mean,
that he could use at any time.
Thematically,
I mean, it's funny, yeah. But again,
I don't think
it's not funny. No, it's not funny. It's not funny.
you got hooks for hands.
But this does like further our now running like theory here that like Peter Pan himself was just obsessed with the story and trying to bring it to real life. He kidnaps this kid named James because he didn't kill him either.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You're going to be my hook in this story." So just shoves hooks in his bloody stumps.
The hook in the story.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just kind of forcing him to be Hook.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's it.
But he's this captive that lives in the basement, and he looks pretty fucked up. The makeup and stuff that went on him, we don't get a lot of glimpses of him, but he's like messed up.
Yeah, by far the freakiest looking character.
Exactly. We just kind of don't get a lot of him, which is sad.
So now the movie is wrapping up. We have
it's a lot of them just fighting each other.
Michael's really smart. He calls 911
Yeah.
under the table, doesn't say anything, just like they hear what's
So they
going on in
find
the
his
background.
location. They're like, keep your phone on. We're going to look up your location without him having to say anything and give away his location to Peter Pan, who's like right next to him.
Which I did like. And then Peter Pan and Wendy fight, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It really is just so... At this point in the movie, we were just so tired. We were like, it's still...
It's a lot of the same fights over and over again, right?
Knife versus person. Like,
and there's some interesting things that happen, like you mentioned, the Peter Pan does bite Wendy's fingers off for a second. They just fight all throughout the house. You know, there is one crazy moment where we do see inside of this house. There's this one wall.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that.
There's this one wall that has this like big open mouth painted around the edges of it, where it's like you see these big eyes and these teeth around the edge of the wall, and there's this hole, and there's this like fun, colorful light sequence at the end of this tunnel that they never go into, and we never know more about.
He was about to go into
He
it.
was going
He
to,
was
and then
going
didn't.
And then she hits
And then
him
she
with a shovel.
poloed him.
What is that
She
about?
did polo him.
I
He
wanna
said Marco,
know.
and she said polo.
So that was a strange thing. But yeah, so there's some highlights throughout this whole end fight sequence, but it basically ends in Wendy kind of getting the best of him. She gets him down on his knees for a second. I can't remember exactly how she does this, but then Michael comes in with, I don't even know what he starts bashing him with.
It was a baseball bat.
Was it the baseball bat?
Yeah, it was a baseball bat.
Because, yeah, they were fighting with a baseball bat. It exchanges hands a couple different times. But, yeah, Michael gets the bat, just starts bashing Peter Pan's face in over and over and over again. And that's where you see his little porcelain mask shatter.
And nothing happened to his face.
No, that's what really bothered me, because the
Yeah, it was
fashion
just
in which
bloody.
how
just
many
bloody.
times he was bashing with him, the blood that was spraying all over him, his face would be mangled and mashed
Absolutely.
up. The most we get is it is a bit swollen at the end, but like his nose still looks normal. Like he would look way more fucked up if that had happened.
He would look way more fucked up.
With one hit.
But
yeah.
then at this point, to round out
Joey
the movie,
does escape, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Joey is safe.
Joey gets out
Joey, our boy,
pretty easily. So thank
just
God,
kind of leaves.
Joey's okay.
He just kind of leaves. But then Hook comes out of the darkness,
Yeah, shambling out of the darkness is so fun.
hooks into Peter Pan, and
Through the
drags
back.
him away.
He straight up comes behind him through his shoulder all the way through to the front. Is got him in his hook clutches.
Drags him away.
Drags him away to be
And
fed to the
then
crocodiles.
the final scene of this movie is Michael finally having his birthday party.
Yep.
Probably the next day, and everyone's just kind of cool with it.
I know it was either the next day
Or the
a
next
year
year.
later,
Yeah.
because it was his birthday at the beginning of the
'Cause
movie,
who knows, right?
And then
and they're all just fine.
Everything
and
is
the brother is
super
acting his
normal.
ass off again.
Yep, he's doing his shtick. But then what's that? A ring at the telephone. Because we didn't mention this earlier. There is a bit where Peter Pan does this earlier in the movie. So Wendy goes up to the telephone, hello, and there's this creepy music that is playing through it. So it's like, uh-oh, the nightmare's not over. Duh, 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 duh. Because, yeah, there was a sequence earlier where they called the family, and he just literally has his phone up to a record player playing this eerie music, just being like, Michael's gone now. He'll be fine. Goodbye.
can we talk about one more thing before we move on to our
Please,
expectation results?
please.
At the beginning of this movie,
The other phone.
yes, at the beginning of this movie, it implies that we're in the past, and he's holding a very slim smartphone that looked like
Yes.
a current iPhone.
It looks like something you would only find in the year currently 2025, like a very modern phone.
Brand new iPhone
Brand new
14
iPhone.
Plus.
And then it says 15 years later.
So now we're in the future. If we were to assume that technology exists in 2025, we're looking at this movie takes place in 2040.
Which
We
means
never see a phone that's even close to 2025.
all of them
standards,
look
though.
even
it's all
older.
older phones.
or anything.
It's like-
any cars,
Yes.
nothing.
No,
It
it all looks
actually-
older than
So
that.
it implies that in the future, everything gets older.
That's how it works.
We go back to
listen,
landlines.
retro is like it's
iPhone 1's
trendy.
come back.
So what if we start regressing? We go backwards in the technology.
Neverland Nightmare predicted the future. This is fact.
If that's what things look like in 2040, then maybe it did.
Maybe it did.
But yeah, that's pretty much wraps us up on Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Yeah. How we feeling?
The movie sucked. Well,
What?
actually, I don't know. I like parts of it.
I think there was parts that were serviceable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was just like,
Yeah.
get to the next exciting thing.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, any moment with the family just was gone.
Yeah.
The family bits, the Wendy scenes, all dragged for me. Peter Pan stuff did really work for me for the most part.
For the most
I
part.
liked these sequences, definitely helped things move a bit faster. Not all of them, though. There are still some sequences involving Peter that also still kind of dragged, right?
Peter.
So should we discuss our expectations, where they
do it.
ended up? For me, my very first one, a far deviation from the Peter Pan mythos. And I will say they actually had some fun ways to tie things back to Peter Pan. Like, I did enjoy the use of, like, the crocodile footage was really fun. The freak in the basement with these hooks in his arms. Like, it was kind of a fun thing, right? But, like, there weren't really many ways to make this, like, adult man Peter, and make this a story within, like, the Peter Pan world, because it's
Absolutely.
tied very in reality. Because we talked about this like a few times throughout. It's a pretty bleak, grounded
Very bleak,
movie. It
grounded
does not
movie.
get very whimsical within it, right?
Never
Yeah.
once.
Because I feel like
Just that tunnel
Yeah.
that we
Just
never
that
saw the
one
inside
tunnel.
of.
because I feel like Blood and Honey immediately is kind of like silly, whimsical because you have talking animal creatures, right? So it already feels kind of outlandish.
What if the tunnel was just a metaphor for Neverland?
I mean, maybe.
I guess, but then, I mean, Wendy was right there.
Yeah.
Wendy saw it,
Who
I
knows?
think.
Did you?
I don't know.
Who knows? Derek, your expectations?
The crocodile will be insane. No, it's just a movie.
Which is still cool, but not as cool.
Yeah.
It's just a movie.
Yeah. Dan?
I said shockingly little to do with original Peter Pan after the original exposition. Nah, it was literally just shoved down our throats from the very start to the
Yeah.
very end,
Yeah.
and just kind of incoherent and nothing to do
Yeah.
with.
Absolutely.
It was really just characters that shared the names with, just because it's like, remember, this is Peter Pan. Don't you forget. 'Cause
Yep.
you might. And then, not much else from there. I said large inspiration from the black phone. And I mean, only so much as like using an eerie child kidnapper who used a phone one time to send a creepy message. So
Yeah,
not
that's true.
necessarily, I don't know. I feel like again, right from the start, I felt like that was kind of a cheap throw.
Absolutely. Peter Pan is actually just a guy who's taking the persona him, and not really Peter Pan. Yeah, I was actually kind of spot on this one.
Yeah.
It's a little disappointing, but also could have been a real Peter, and we just didn't know. I don't know.
Feels
It's
like
hard
something
to
they
know.
might expand on in the Pooniverse.
Maybe it's
Or whatever the
intentional.
movies-
They don't want to give us that much.
Yeah.
Is he
Universe.
supposed to return? Question
I don't
mark.
Yeah.
Dan?
Decent acting from the lead that will be hard to decipher through an insane script. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
think
then
he
it
hit
was
that
just
pretty well.
bland by the end too. I
Yeah.
was just done with
It really
his-
did feel like they gave up
Yeah.
with writing
Because
halfway through.
his acting was still probably spot on by the end, but it
Yeah.
was just I just didn't care anymore at all.
My next expectation was kid death aplenty, and I really thought I was wrong until the whole fucking bus of kids was killed. I really thought, I'm like, maybe he doesn't kill kids. Maybe they're actually living a nice life as the Lost Boys. No.
No, they're lost.
They're lost in death.
We didn't actually see any like disposal area. That was kind of one thing I was expecting about halfway through the movie. I was
what
like,
he does with the
What he
bodies.
does with the bodies. Maybe
True.
that was in the fun tunnel.
Maybe.
We'll never know.
We will continue the progression of movie quality from Blood and Honey. Absolutely. Easily the best of the three so far as like quality goes.
Because we called out the cinematography a lot of times, right? Where we're like, there's actually some promising cinematography within this throughout. Not all the way, like not every single shot of it, but there was definitely a lot of good that came throughout it. And the production value is definitely keeps going up as the more money they make, right?
Was that a few kid kills that will be more uncomfy than compelling? I think not. I think they were just like there was no gore. We talked about this.
Yeah.
They were fine.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, those kids were okay.
I said it was going to be a weird way to include Tinkerbell. No, I was actually wrong on that one. She did play a bit of a larger role within this and was a great actress. Like I liked the way that they brought Tinkerbell within the story.
Yeah, it was good. And it could have been very like disrespectful, but I actually felt like it toted that line pretty well.
Yes,
for
I
the
think
most
so
part.
too.
It didn't offend me, so not that it would. I don't know. Incredibly gory kills. It was my last one. Well, second to last one. All with the chef knife really bugged me. I already got up on my horse about that, but they were also pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish they were more themed.
See, that's the weird thing is like I can say, and throughout I made notes about how I'm like, wow, these kills are really brutal, but none of them really stuck with me.
Like, why didn't
or
he
had
make-
a ton of impact?
He should have fed someone to a crocodile.
That would have been better.
He should have made someone fly.
That would have been fun if that was his method of disposal.
Ooh.
If there was some bit about maybe a missing crocodile from
And
some
that's what the
zoo or
footage
something,
was.
and that's where the kids go as he's feeding it to the crocodile.
in the basement.
We gotta write our own. He's a vampire. He's got a pet crocodile. Like, someone write this down.
There you go.
Dan, your next one.
I said Shmi character and Tiger Lily character that is offensive to some demographic. No. I mean, Tiger Lily was just there.
It was just a woman named Tiger
According
Lily.
to IMDb, yeah, there's a character who I think just goes by Lily.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
Yep.
whose full name is Tiger Lily, and so it's like they just really
She's
just
a
wanted
friend of Wendy's.
just really wanted to put every opportunity to put a pan name in
Just
there.
like Burger King, friend of Wendy's.
friend of Wendy's.
Yeah. Not McDonald's, though, just Burger King.
Oh, no, never.
Final expectation was kid actors. Yeah. And I'd say there was a wide array of kids within this, all with varying acting abilities. I think Michael did a fine job for the most part with what little he did. And then you got lovable kids like Joey, who definitely were not, the top actors in this movie, but
No.
were trying their best and you love them for it. So yeah, I thought it was like a lot of variation.
I agree with you there. They were just, nothing stood out as very bad and nothing stood out as very good. It was just kid actors.
Exactly.
And you didn't have another expectation.
And that was it. So that's us on expectations. So shall we discuss our surprises for this one?
Yeah.
So for me, my surprises in full say it was so much more bleak than I was expecting. The other, like we've talked about already, the other movies in this universe have some kind of ridiculousness to them that keeps them silly. But this one stayed pretty grounded and brutal, especially when they decided, oh yeah, when you see him playing with his shadow and he's lifting off the air, it's just when he's having a trip and he's high.
I did like that.
So all of this is really just based in reality, and I really, really dug that. I liked it a lot. My second one here is I love the use of Peter Pan getting high, and that's what caused him to see his own shadow fly. The trailer tricked me, and I think that's what I liked the most about it, was I thought it had spoiled something that it actually didn't, and so it was kind of a subversion of what I was expecting, which was fun. Tinkerbell and Peter Pan gave surprisingly great performances in this one, so kudos to the two of them. The cinematography was pretty good. Each of these movies just keep getting better as we progress, which clearly, as they get more funding, it's better. But I've mentioned this before when we watched Blood and Honey 2. I enjoy the fact that they took something that could be so lazy as just let's take Peter Pan and make it horror, and that's going to sell tickets already because it did with Blood and Honey. But the further they progress, they're actually they're doing a bit more with it, getting creative and inventive with things, and getting better as each one progresses. Again, they're still not the greatest movies I've ever seen, but I like the stuff that they're doing with it a lot. Way bloodier than I was expecting, for sure. And I did enjoy the callbacks to the original story with the crocodile on the TV there, Hook with the hooks in the arms, and the pixie dust being the heroine. Those are cool ways to bring those things in. They might be kind of corny, but I enjoyed them.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, those are my surprises.
Mine were pretty much on the same vein as you.
Yeah.
Kick-ass cinematography. I really, really dug 90% of the cinematography. The other 10% was definitely rookie. We called it film student cinematography about 10% of the time. But
ambitious
there was a
film
lot.
student.
The number of pointless things that they threw in there, him getting his mask was pointless.
Yeah.
Just other things like that. There was
Wendy having a boyfriend who she was struggling with.
completely
Who cares
pointless.
about that?
Him dying.
Him getting
was
bullied with a
pointless.
slur on his back. Who
Yeah.
cares?
The super compelling performance from Martin Portlock, especially after seeing him on America's Got Talent. I was
Being the witch.
Wow, this is so cool that they saw him in this way and then brought him in for a movie.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
great character actor.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Good stuff.
And that's actually basically it.
Dan, do you have any surprises?
I'd say my only additional surprise is that there was a metaphor for trans people in the movie. I was not expecting that.
No.
I still don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It just it was there, and I
It
don't
was.
know what the moral was.
That's true.
Or
yeah.
the purpose.
Yeah,
It felt really shoehorned in.
yeah.
And then-
To me, if I'm taking a step back from it, it just feels like they were Tinkerbell's a fairy. So we're gonna turn the fairy into a trans person,
Which is fair.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
truly,
know.
the only purpose they made it serve is what's the best way we can get is some kind of plot device for what Peter Pan can use to convince her that she has no life out there and I'm the only
Yes.
one who will accept you, right?
And so I think that's fair.
Which
That-
is kind of low hanging fruit still, so it's tough. I don't know.
That was the non-offensive way to go about it, but I still just I don't know. It was very
weird.
strange.
It was
For
weird.
sure.
It definitely
But
was weird.
representation I do enjoy. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. The verdict for this one, for me, I am sitting at that was horrible, which is
We didn't
like,
tell you how our verdicts were.
yeah, no, this is what we're hearing right here and now. So this is one that I would say like belongs within our like thing here. Is not actually that bad a movie as some of the critics might think. I truly did have an enjoyable time with it.
It's a horrible movie.
It's a horrible movie. This is what we do here. I mean, like, point of our podcast here is to like watch movies and tell you guys, hey, maybe this one's actually not unwatchable, you know? Because I feel like if this is just a movie where we tell you movies are bad, you know that already. It's the point of this podcast. So no, we're here to tell you some of these might be good. And I think this was one of them that fits within our whole world here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. These movies are progressively improving and it is a delight to watch. Like, I think it's fun because like we can say that, right? Like having seen the progression thus far, and it's super fun. To take something so bad as Blood and Honey and turn this cinematic universe into something kind of compelling and eerie and yucky as this one could be is pretty impressive. Like, it still has a lot of polish that it needs, but Neverland Nightmare really worked for me, honestly. Peter Pan and Tinkerbell really helped ground this movie and make it more than just a B horror movie based on an existing IP that you could be really lazy with and not do a lot, but they did some interesting things with it that I enjoyed. Beyond the frequent moments where the movie could drag or kind of lose its momentum, I did thoroughly enjoy this one. So I'd say follow the second star to the right and straight on till morning to go watch Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Nice. For me, that was horrible as well. Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare was surprisingly fun. The kills were shocking, and the premise mostly worked.
Forgettable.
I will say mostly worked. It wasn't completely there, but it did work. However, the B plot of Wendy and the family is just where the movie dragged and completely failed. Yes. There wasn't really much to feel for them. They were kind of just there. Thankfully, the performance of Peter and Tinkerbell was captivating enough to keep the movie going and make it an enjoyable watch. The best of the Pooniverse so far. Keep going, Scott Chambers. I'm with you. I definitely recommend this trip to Neverland.
Which does make me curious, because we did watch a trailer for Bambi's Reckoning, and Bambi's Reckoning does not look that incredible. It
looks bad.
Completely CGI
It looks like a step back.
deer. So yeah, this might be, a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. We'll see. I think the next one though, the Pinocchio one, looks like it might be great. Yeah. Dan, did you have any kind of verdicts for us here?
The only verdict I had is that I'd say that was horrible.
Hey,
I got
it. We got him.
I did it. I did the thing. And then also my final thought is, why would you call liquid heroin pixie dust when crystal meth is right there?
They fucked it up. They
cocaine. You could have had just a bunch of really focused villains.
Right.
Absolutely.
Dang it.
It is me, Count Trivia.
Look at this fuck.
Back from my trip to Neverland to give you your pixie dust in the form of trivia. This is my trixie dust.
Wait, hey, I have something for you.
What is it?
Did you know that sitting with you at this table right now is a trivia master?
A trivia master
who actually runs trivia games.
Trivia writer.
This is true.
Runs trivia games and writes trivia questions professionally.
Well,
not even joking.
I don't know what to say. I'm in the presence of a great being in front of me.
His name's Count Trivia. Like, you guys should be best friends.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
So maybe after the show we'll like exchange emails or something.
We can do that. Yeah. I'm freelance.
Do you have any trivia on vampires?
On
vampires?
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Wow, not off the top of my head.
Disappointed.
This is I'm almost an Uber driver, and when this is relevant, when I started driving Uber, I put a sign up in the back of my car that was like, "I'm a professional trivia writer, so pick a topic and I'll quiz you on it."
How many people took you up on that offer?
I'd say like 1 in 20.
That seems like a fair amount, actually.
Well, and it just became very clear to me immediately that people would be like, "You're a trivia okay, give me trivia questions on Naruto," and I'd be like, and so I'd like come up with something, and they'd be like, "That's easy," and I'm like, "Then pick something you aren't an expert on." I had a guy getting, and he was like, "Give me trivia questions on Godzilla." I was like, "I don't know that I can." He's like, "Sounds like you're not much of a trivia person then." And then he proceeded to give me a 15-minute trivia quiz on Godzilla, things I never knew.
Oh Lord,
so
kind of awesome.
I feel like if you were to go for this again, I guess you just have to be like, pick from this list of things.
That's what I started to do for a while.
Yep. That's a lot. That's awesome.
And then people didn't know any of the answers and would feel bad about themselves, so I just stopped doing it entirely.
Nothing better than on your how was your ride in? Well, I was on my way to the airport this morning, and my Uber driver made me feel really shitty about not knowing anything about Jaws.
I didn't know the 2 longest rivers in America that don't share their name with a state, and now I feel like an idiot.
Now I'm an asshole. Reddit, am I the asshole? My Uber driver likes to play trivia for some reason.
Incredible. All right, Triv, what you got for us?
So Count Trivia ran away to go try to find us some trivia about Uber drivers, but he left us with these bits of trivia. There was not a ton that I could find, which I'm actually surprised about. I feel like you could have a decent amount from behind the scenes of this movie, but I couldn't find a lot. The first one simply says Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare is the third part of the Twisted Childhood Nightmare universe, which
That's not
again
trivia,
is the new universe, not the Pooniverse, which is sad. Joey, our beloved Joey, love him so much. When Joey is abducted by Peter, he can be seen wearing a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey t-shirt, which is the first installment of this whole Twisted Childhood universe, which is great. At one point in the movie, one of the characters named Mia, played by Kelly Ryan Sanson, tells Wendy that she's going camping with her friends. The same actor appears in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, where herself, along with some others, are killed while they are out camping, hinting that these movies are all connected and take place simultaneously.
Well, in the town of Ashdown.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's like we know they're all connected, but that was like their connecting point between like, oh, this character is also in Blood and Honey 2, and she dies. Director and co-writer Scott Jeffrey had said that a previous script taking place mostly in Neverland, about Neverland being a dreamlike location where kids in comas are entertained by a circus, sucking their life force until they die in the real world.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That's way cooler.
That's the first draft of this movie. Isn't that insane?
That's way cooler.
Yeah.
And also completely different.
However, apparently was too ambitious and expensive to shoot with their budget. So Scott has said that he reworked the script into a possible sequel that he hopes to shoot if the film does well enough. So
Well, it did
maybe,
pretty well.
don't give up on this idea. We might get to see that. But that's pretty much all it is for the trivia. But the last thing I have here is we still have some movies to come from this little production company, right? So next up we have Bambi the Reckoning, which is set to come out, I think, later this month of July 2025. Pinocchio Unstrung, which looks really cool, guys. Richard Brake is going to be in it, playing Geppetto. We've got Robert Englund, who's joining the cast as Jiminy Cricket, which is awesome. Robert Englund, you know, from Nightmare on Elm Street as Freddy Krueger. So that's going to be really fun. What I love the most about this upcoming Pinocchio movie is the fact that there is a 100% practical puppet they are using for it. It's got this cool animatronic face that they have to make different facial features.
Yeah, he looks
There's
really
like
cool.
a thing that they had mentioned about it that was like,
Oh, wow.
Frank Waterfield tells Bloody Disgusting is where I'm getting this news. The film will embrace practical effects at every opportunity, ranging from the doll itself to the title card of the film. Having a budget significantly higher than my last film, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, I'm aiming to make this the definitive Pinocchio horror movie and my best movie to date.
Love it.
So they're getting pretty ambitious with
Love
them.
it.
So that one actually I am quite looking forward to. I'm pretty excited about that one. So there's Pinocchio Unstrung will be after Bambi the Reckoning. The next one should be Pooniverse Monsters Assemble, which is where we see all of these creatures now come together in one movie. And then lastly, there is Blood and Honey 3 is also in talks to be worked. These ones haven't been announced, but apparently there are talks that there's also going to be a Sleeping Beauty and Snow White movies as well, but less official developments on that one there.
Interesting.
But that's us, guys. That's Winnie the Pooh. That's Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Winnie the Pooh.
The pride of the picnic. Peter Pan's peanut butter.
Wasn't there talks about a Popeye?
There
movie?
are
There is
other.
one.
There are.
Is that a different?
It's a
Yes.
different company.
See, that's the thing, because we also
okay.
have
I just
other
figured it was
Mickey
the same
Mouse horror movies that exist. There's Screamboat and the one that we watched, which was terrible. There's I think there's 2 different Popeye ones that exist right now.
Don't forget about Shiver Me Timbers.
Oh my God, yeah. So like there's
Popeye
lots
movie, it's
going on
coming
where you
out
get
this year.
characters in the public domain. You can do whatever you want to them, I guess, whatever. But yeah,
Tell me
so
how this movie's rated PG.
there's no way. There's
The
no way.
Popeye one?
There's simply no way.
Shiver Me
Wow.
Timbers. It says PG.
Derek, what's next for us on the chopping block?
Dude, we're watching Megan 2, man.
We're going to Megan 2.0, which is a little high. It's sitting at a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is still
Yeah,
rated rotten,
But
right?
it feels important.
And it just feels like I honestly want an excuse to see it.
Me too.
Because I don't know if I would see it on my own without needing a reason to go see it.
I don't know. I want to see it.
But yeah, so
I'm ready.
the synopsis for Megan 2.0 is as follows. 2 years after Megan, that's M3GAN,
Yeah, get that right.
a marvel of artificial intelligence went rogue and embarked on a murderous rampage, its creator, Gemma, has become an advocate for government oversight of AI. Unbeknownst to her, a defense contractor has created a military-grade weapon known as Amelia, the ultimate infiltration spy. However, as Amelia's self-awareness increases, it becomes less interested in taking orders. Hoping to stop Amelia, Gemma decides to resurrect Megan, making it faster, stronger, and more lethal.
Incredible.
It really feels like it's just going to be an action movie more than it's actually going to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first one was already kind of that way anyway.
I'm so disappointed I will never get to watch this movie.
I mean, you
Don't-
can.
Don't
no,
worry.
no.
Dan,
No.
listen, don't worry about it. We got
Yeah,
your
we
back.
got you, man.
And
Yeah.
you just listen to the next episode. We'll tell you all you need to know about it.
Okay.
Hey, okay, Dan. Well, thank you so much for coming on the
We
podcast.
truly appreciate
you.
your contributions
It's been
here.
incredible. I hope you get
your
back in
wonderful
the
weekly
future.
bit that we do all the time. We
We
loved
do
it.
that every
Yep.
week. It was incredible. Do you want to give a little blurb about yourself? Maybe people can find you somewhere. You don't have to give away your Instagram handle if you don't
Or
want
your
to, but you
address,
can.
or your social security
Uh,
number.
If you want to give your mother's maiden name and your birthday,
dog,
and your first
first
dog,
pet,
your
you
first
know?
pet, your street you grew up on. No,
Okay,
I'm
I
just
should have been writing this down, but no, my name's Dan.
Love it.
And I write and perform and direct at a place called Desert Star Playhouse.
kidding. Yeah, dude.
So if you want to come see Derek and I be a couple of goofs
Yeah.
on a
On a
stage,
spoof of Survivor.
Our spoof
currently.
of
Show runs
Survivor.
until the end of August.
Yeah, so running for a little bit longer here.
about a month and a half to go.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
And
crazy.
if you're listening to this 6 years from now, sorry you missed it. A great time.
yeah, it was-
6 years from now, maybe they're doing it again.
Maybe they're doing it
That's-
again. It's
That's
been
how they
remounted.
cycle through shows.
Or
That's
maybe they're
true.
currently working on the Survivor parody movie that they're going to start making.
Yes.
someone's gonna. James Cameron's actually slated to come watch it.
Maybe I will have been on Survivor by then.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible. I'd love to see you. on
This is my
Survivor.
ticket. Writing a Survivor parody is my ticket to get on Survivor.
That could work, you know?
I mean,
Feel like people
Or
have
make
got off
them
from
go,
us.
never.
Absolutely
Never,
not.
ever.
You will not touch our show. Thank you very much.
yeah. Well, awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us, Derek. Should we get on this Garfield horoscope before we get out? We
should.
simply have to do a Garfield horoscope with you. So
We do.
Basically, like you've listened to a few of the episodes here, but like to reiterate for our listeners, I guess, because we haven't really slated exactly what the purpose of this here.
There is
we
no
take the day we are recording. We take whatever Garfield comic has been released that day because Jim Davis is still making them for some
sure is.
reason,
He's
which
still
I
kicking.
love. Still kicking. So we
Still
take it,
feeding
try to
dog
decipher
cum.
our own interpretation of what the hell is going on here, and try to turn it into some kind of horoscope like message for you and meaning for you to take into the rest of your week and your life. So what do we got here right now, Derek?
All right, so you got Garfield. He's walking up to a place called Echo Point, where he says
this cliff.
meow, and then it's a cliff, and he says meow, and then the universe says, I'm fat,
This
back.
echo back to him.
And then it says meow. I should be nicer to Hody, and I need to exercise more. So basically, he's saying meow, and the universe is telling him what he doesn't want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be the statements coming back to him.
That's fine. Yeah, I think I want to be Echo Point as a concept.
Dan?
Dan, pick a character. Who do you want to represent here?
Does that leave me with
Whatever you want.
Garfield himself?
I mean, not
listen,
necessarily.
Derek has
Think
done
outside the box.
Derek has done things as simple as like I'm the blue background behind this
be the
comic
blue
strip. Like,
background.
you can be as abstract as
you
you
can
want.
be the opening frame. You could be the.
I think I want to be Odie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
he's got to be nicer to Odie now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I'll start us off
Yeah,
here.
kick us off.
I'm the echo, right? And listen, the things that you repeat back, right? He's saying meow. He's hearing I'm fat.
Yeah.
You gotta embrace those things, understand why they're there, but maybe twist it.
Yeah.
Like I'm fat, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I should be nicer to Odie. Yeah, I should be. I should be nicer to Odie. And then I need to exercise more. Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to embrace that. Maybe what I'm hearing isn't a deflection. Maybe it's reality.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just Echo Point here as a concept. Clearly, this is some fucked up, weird like, ether space that Garfield has found himself in. That you shout whatever you want into it. It's going to tell you back something that maybe you need to hear, but you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you can kind of be that person. Maybe you're in a situation. Maybe someone needs a little bit of a tough truth. However, I think there are nicer ways to say these kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Don't just shout out to your friend that they're fat or that they should be nicer to a friend. Like come up with a kinder way to say these things. But sometimes we all need a person in our lives that tells us a little bit of like the hard truths, or at least something we need to hear, but we don't want to hear. So
Absolutely.
like be that person.
I feel like ours were exactly the same.
Kindly, please. I know that's the thing. We basically said
Dan, you're gonna
different
say
things.
the
You
exact
wanna
same
say the
thing
same
the third
thing as
time?
Odie.
I'm Odie. I don't have to do shit. Everyone else is going to start being nicer to me. I don't have to do nothing. There's nothing to change.
Hell yeah.
I love that.
I'm
Except the
already
good
me.
things- Except
I
the
love
good things
that.
coming your way, as Odie will be after this comic takes place, right?
Incredible.
If Garfield heeds the warning from the ominous Echo Point.
Incredible. Well, I think that's
Well,
it from
that
us
is us,
here.
Dan. Thank you so much for joining
Dan,
us here
it's
on That Was
great.
Horrible. It has been a pleasure. It's been fun. If you liked Dan and playing with us here in this space, if you like hearing more of our stuff, we are on all of the social medias, wherever you can find us.
Yeah.
We are on Instagram at _was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and also TikTok at That Was Horrible.
That was horrible.
That was horrible. So, Dan, we've got a little sign off that we do at the end of every episode.
Garfield.
So it starts, Garfield be with you,
And stay
and then say spooky.
That
So
wasn't it. Don't leave.
That's not it. Please stay. So
All
you're
right,
going to join us
everybody.
now. Right?
You have a
Say it
great day,
Sing along
and
if you know the words.
Garfield
Garfield be with you.
Stay spooky.
Goodbye.